AJ. They actually made me a birthday cake, a homemade cake, so that's good.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh man, this is gonna be fun. Hard Bastard's doing a live video of the David Pac-Man attacking HA. I was watching it for a while, but man, I wanna
David
keep watching
Pac-Man,
it.
he fucked with the wrong H.A. Goodman.
Ugh.
He fucked with the wrong guy.
Well, I don't think they realize that when he's attacking HA, he's pretty much attacking everyone else in independent media.
Oh, fuck yeah. Never fuck with HA. No one should even fuck with him.
You don't touch HA, you don't touch Tim, pretty much.
Oh, exactly. That's our turf.
Yeah. All right.
That's our independent media turf. It's a turf that you should not fuck with.
Let me see. Is this okay? We got Aeolus Drift in already. Wow, that was quick. I don't think even people are showing up yet. Aeolus is becoming a regular here.
Hello there.
Hey.
Are you all doing this evening? I hear we are talking about people starting shit with H.A. Goodman again.
Again, yes.
Oh
hey,
shit! It's fucking going down.
This never ends well. This never ends well.
Yeah. Roswell, that doesn't end well.
And it's good for independent media people, especially HA.
Oh no, this H.A. Goodman gets free publicity.
Oh yeah.
Free publicity when he flips his lid.
And here's the thing: he never attacks anyone first. He's always the one being attacked, and he's defending himself. And then you got all the trolls on Twitter saying, "Hey, HA, calm down." It's like, what? This is
no. I do think HA does. I'll admit, H.A. Goodman does have a bit of a tendency for overdrawn retribution. But,
oh no!
But that's part of his charm. But
well,
that's part of the charm.
Well,
no one should fuck with him at all.
I mean,
that should be clear.
Don't
fuck
when
with him.
you go, no, it's just sort of like, you make an hour-long video. He makes a 3-hour-long series.
Oh, he'll
dedicated.
There'll be a point soon where HA won't have enough time on his hands to make enough retribution videos. I mean, I think
he's gonna have to start keeping a list.
Here's my conspiracy theory. I think Hillary Clinton is paying TYT and people from real progressives or whatever to attack HA, so he kind of lays off of Hillary Clinton for a while. I'm pretty sure they're getting big bucks.
It's the fucking shells.
Knowing HA, that tends to backfire pretty quickly because he'll find a way to draw it back to Hillary Clinton.
Oh yeah. It's like
private server.
Yeah, I mean the number of Hillary Clinton videos have just gone down on HA's part. I only see maybe 1 or 2 a week as opposed to like every day.
on a side note, tonight this morning I accidentally nearly missed work because I didn't sleep long enough. So I'm gonna probably limit myself to heading off around 11:30.
Okay.
That's okay.
But until then, I have an hour and 30 minutes that I can fuck around with.
Well, how much hour and 30 minutes can we start dissing David Pac-Man? I'd actually want David
fucking Pac.
Actually, maybe we should start calling him David Cuckman. Is that what?
No, come on. We can be classy.
Okay, maybe we'll be classy.
Oh, I got one.
Oh, wait, maybe not. Hey, this is after hours.
Pac-Man Amiibo.
What was that?
Oh my god.
Oh.
If people start using... Oh, it is a great day. Somebody's going to be triggered.
Triggered! Oh, my name is David Pac-Man, and, triggered! Oh, I'm shilling! I'm triggered! Shilling triggered!
Make sure not to hit the blue ghost on the way out.
Abra. But pretty much when he goes out...
It's... now I'm just reminded of that god-awful Adam Sandler film from, like, a year back.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't even watch that. I didn't even want to. I'm a gaming nerd and I didn't even want to watch that movie.
I wanted to take
There's nothing in it for anyone. I think Corey Coleman put it or was it Martin Thomas? The Adam Sandler doesn't actually love the 80s. He loves loving the 80s.
Member berries. It's the member berries.
The member berry.
Member? Oh, I remember.
Oh God! Please don't tell me that's the creatures from the one Rick and Morty episode.
No, it's from South Park season 20.
Oh.
Like they make fun of nostalgia.
Oh.
Like well, let's see. Like one day, like I'm gonna go order it online, but especially for this, like since I have an NES Classic Edition.
Oh.
I'm actually gonna put like a member berry sticker in here, like the member berry sticker on here, and like on the side I'm gonna put, and it has like member berries. So I'm actually gonna do that just for laughs and fun.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Sometimes the best things we've ever created come from just dicking around.
Did you hear the news of H.A. Goodman being attacked again?
Oh.
What was that?
Tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. This time it was David Pakman.
Is this something new?
Yeah, something new.
I haven't been online much today, so I've missed a lot of things. So if everyone wants to just fill me and everyone else in on things we may have missed, that would be awesome.
I'm not terribly surprised that it's David Pakman, though, to be quite frankly honest.
They're triggered!
I'm amazed that I'm amazed that people got surprised by the fact that it was David Pakman doing it of all people.
I never really followed the guy. I never got him. I was like,
there's probably a good reason.
He's...
Alright. I just wanted to take screenshots of David Pakman's Patreon and his Social Blade and H.A. Goodman's, so we can compare what happens in the next couple of days.
We have statistics! Good news, everybody!
Because
I just keep getting that image of Professor Farnsworth. Good news, everyone! It turns out David Pakman is full of shit!
Let's see.
Alright, there we go. It's saved.
I mean, honestly, I thought after his whole shit show on Jill Stein, people would have figured out, oh yeah, he's kind of a self-centered dickhead.
He supports the turd sandwich named Hillary Clinton. I like calling Hillary Clinton a turd sandwich nowadays. I mean, that's like the perfect name that fits her. She is a turd sandwich.
I thought that the one that everyone called the turd sandwich was, what was it, the Donald Trump?
No, that's giant douche, but I prefer to call him Mr. Garrison.
Mr. Garrison.
Oh, jeez.
If you're gonna vote for Trump, you're gonna have a bad time.
Oh, so that's another Trump thing. So Trump, he has a new word in the dictionary made up for him.
What is it?
Let's see.
Kafefe? Is that how you say it?
I have no clue what I have no clue what it said.
It's kind of clear that he misspelled coffee, I thought, but...
Or I think the ongoing meme joke is because Donald Trump has such small hands, when he was trying to type coverage on his phone, he couldn't reach, so he ended up spelling it as Kofefe.
I have freaking...
They have a Wikipedia page for it now.
They do already?
Yes, I retweeted it. Try to find it.
Okay.
I've been retweeting like crazy.
Oh my god, are you
my phone for a few hours? I was like, I went to my phone. I'm like, holy shit! What the fuck just happened?
So people following.
Oh, he finally deleted it after 5 hours.
Oh, he deleted it?
Yeah, he deleted the tweet.
Oh, that sucks.
But I'm sure. But don't worry,
because it was fun.
The Independent has saved it for for
No.
all perpetuity.
I see it. I think.
Oh.
I can see. So wait, he deletes it, then re-uploads it, but doesn't bother to change the fucking.
Oh, even if I make a mistake, sometimes I'll just really leave it like it is.
Just like. That's the ultimate. Isn't that just so fucking emblematic of the entire Donald Trump presidency? Just like he's almost become the living embodiment of that one Obi-Wan Kenobi quote about the fight being the larger distraction.
I fucked with the wrong Jedi.
God, it's the exact quote, if I remember it correctly, is that sometimes a fight is not the goal in and of itself. Sometimes it's a distraction from the true goal, and it's best countered with a larger distraction. Well, Donald Trump's idea of a larger distraction is to make an even bigger battle right next to the skirmish that you had immediately conflagrated. It's just constantly escalating the level of ridiculousness. Just like, well, they can't bury you in a scandal if you keep digging deeper. Eventually, you can form a tunnel, like a cave in the earth, and you can survive there.
You know, I'd rather Trump stay on Twitter rather than do anything while he's in office. I mean, the more he stays on Twitter, I think the better off it is for everyone.
I don't know, because that just means Pence gets free carte launch to make policy, and
no, he just makes Pence watch while he's typing in things on Twitter.
No, if that were the case, then I might feel a little. I might feel a little more secure. Then again, I don't trust Pence with a 10-foot pole to be able to just sit and go, "Yes, Mr. Trump, I'll just sit here kindly and not do anything." Yep. Yes, sirree. Woo-wee, Rick.
Nah, you get to see me do tweets of like Hillary Clinton, fake news, fake outrage. It's her fault.
There's a special election coming up in Georgia. So I went and I got like this pile of mail. Check what's there. Dun, dun, dun.
What is it?
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're trying to scare me with that. They'll make sure you vote because of this thing.
Because it worked with Hillary Clinton's campaign.
But
Georgia, okay. So that's
the only problem I have with that is
this is the Democrat that's being pushed in Georgia.
Do you know how many spam emails I've gotten for John Ossoff?
Look at this. It's a poster. It says what does it say? It's time to build bridges, not walls.
You know how much a poster like that probably costs?
Oh, it's insane. It's this giant fold out. I could stick it on my wall if I really was.
You know, that would probably cost like at least $6.
And then
they're wasting their money.
And then another one. My sticker is enclosed.
Nice.
Very important. I gotta make sure I get that sticker. So poor John Ossoff swag. Boy, that sticker, I'm fighting back with a couple of boxing gloves on it. Good grief.
If he's fighting, shouldn't he be taking the gloves off?
And then I've got 3 time-sensitive envelopes from the Democratic Party.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I get bombarded with this. The Republican they're running is a woman named Karen Handel. Yeah, it's all John Ossoff. It's every single one of this. I raised my... Oh, this is from his dad. Daddy's writing a letter to us. Raised John Ossoff here in Georgia because I believe this community represents the very best of this country. Aren't you voting for him?
So
I get a feeling... Why do I get the feeling like that's...
it's John's mom, not...
Oh my god.
Mom.
Why do I get the feeling that it's that entire thing is like a giant euphemism?
Well, they just can't stop sending this stuff. I mean, it's on. If I have to look at that skinny little dude one more time, he's constantly. He's trying to look more grown up because he literally looks like a little 25-year-old whippersnapper fresh out of college, and it's hilarious. He's always like, I'm John Ossoff, and no, and he's walking around with his little sleeves rolled up, trying to look like I'm ready to get to work. And he's like a little skinny guy, like a little scarecrow man. It's really funny. And Karen Handel is like a really typical. Yeah, no, that's Karen Handel. She's like the, built like she can take a punch Georgia lady, and she's got the real, and she's ready to go. She's all like, I'm the Republican, and I've always been a conservative, and this guy's too liberal for Georgia, and it's. I'm really sick of it, because they had the runoff, like it didn't come to an end.
Maybe too liberal, but
so
not
we had
too
more
lefty.
months of this, and
So, Ariel, so who's good to vote for in Georgia then? This
not
obviously
very
not those
much.
two.
It's funny though, because Ajamu Baraka actually came down here on Halloween. I got to see him last year in person, and
Oh, that's so sweet.
it was really cool. Like it wasn't a ton of people either, so it was real intimate. And I was surprised, that he came down to Georgia because it's Georgia, but he lives down here. He actually lives in Atlanta, so he was just like, well, why not? It's right in my place. So it was really cool. But it was interesting to just see some of the people there and talk to them, because then there was this one guy that was like real, almost kind of bitter. He was like, after we came out of there, he's like, oh, the Green Party's not ever going to go anywhere. He was just some random guy that was there, and I was like, darn, that's kind of, here you are, and you're saying that's not cool. But no, there's not much here. There's not much here. I mean, Ossoff is, from everything that I've read about him and know, is that he's just another very typical, Democrat or establishment kind of deal. And
it's funny how easy we can start figuring out how these politicians are.
It is,
and,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
You think by this point they would try to put some effort into differentiating themselves. It's sort of like, maybe we shouldn't just come across as the same person over and over again.
Well, people fall for it. Unless they...
It's very tough, because it's a very Republican state. I mean, Georgia always goes red, but the thing is, this is where MLK is from. This is where there's a lot of, Jimmy Carter. You've got a lot of, people that are more liberal or progressive leaning. They just don't always know it, and so in Atlanta, it's very different. Like where I am is way more blue, it's way more blue than red. But the whole of the state, you get down into rural Georgia. Whoa. Peanuts! And the whole thing.
Didn't Cynthia McKinney, didn't she represent there? Or am I thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we've the trouble that Georgia has, like, as a state in general, is not just because it's such an opposition, they really do have that fight against, and the racism can be really real, where it's just like, a lot of like the rural white people feel like the black people are the ones that have all the power in the, state government, which is somewhat true, but I wouldn't say it's entirely true. But it always seems like the allocation of funding in this state is really poor. The things that we need desperately here are good public transit, because the traffic here is like LA. It's insane. It will make you want to just die. But they never will put money into it. We have MARTA, which is a public transit, but it's very poor. It just doesn't work. If it worked, I would use it. I don't have a car, so I walk or taxi or Uber, or, whatever I can do to get around, carpool with people. But, I lived in Portland, Oregon for a long time, and that had the best public transit I've ever seen anywhere.
Yeah.
Boy, I wish I had that back. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, Seattle was like that too. The buses are always on time. It's crazy how...
Where were you originally from, Abon?
I was born in Houston, and then my family moved to Seattle when I was maybe 10.
Yeah,
and then,
very similar. Very similar to Portland. It's that rainy country land, but good public transit.
Yeah. Erik, take the lead. I want to catch up on... The chat is going crazy.
Ooh, what's going on?
What's happening?
I don't know. There must be a lot to talk about.
All right, Tulsi was Bernie, California write-in VP.
Let's see. Wow, I think there's so much.
Oh wow.
Hey, why don't you guys just come on and vent with us instead of typing it all out?
We need more folks.
Yeah, give your fingers a rest.
Yeah.
I'm not even typing it. My fingers have carpal tunnel syndrome right now. I'm not joking. Like, my right hand just feels like shit right now.
I haven't been really typing all day, really.
I haven't either, but I have been doing housekeeping, so that was fun.
I've been hanging out with friends, so like I kept myself pretty busy today. And I went, when I went to my phone and I looked at it, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this shit happened today. Like the whole H.A. Goodman and David Pakman.
Tell me about that, Eric, because I really don't know what happened. Who is this guy? Who's Pac-Man, other than the little waka waka?
Waka 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 waka.
Okay, so David Pakman is a Boston based progressive commentator, sort of the off-brand Young Turks sort of thing.
Okay.
Or, well, actually, I guess it's closer to a poor man's Sam Cedar.
Okay.
That's so mean. But
he has a co-host. Yeah, it's the co-host thing. It's the co-host thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
He also lends Benjamin Dixon his studio every so for his podcast.
Right.
So,
you know what's funny is
that's about as much that's interesting about David Pakman.
This fellow, what did he do? He slammed HA or said something?
He slammed HA. To think that he would try this shit again after he basically kicked the dicks of pretty much every Jill Stein voter.
Ouch.
Or by accusing her of anti-vax and being an anti-vaxxer, which he had to kind of backpedal on.
That's a silly argument, actually, and I hate to say it to this guy, but I mean, she's a doctor. I think she knows a little bit more than most of us do.
So So David Pakman replied. He said, "I can source quotes tomorrow if anyone cares enough. Point of the story isn't about you. Lame fake news attack. Seriously, have fun." And when I was watching Hard Bastard points out, like,
that's a cowardly fuck.
He goes, "How do you not have you're going to slander someone. How are you not going to have the quotes sourced already?" He's like, "Why do you need a day to get them to reply back?"
Shouldn't you? Well, I mean, I could sum this up. At best, this is a utter display of ill professionalism.
Yeah, I mean, he's either very poor at sourcing his material before he does something big, like attack someone.
If you're a journalist, if you're actually serious about wanting to be a journalist, you need to be able to source your shit. That's a basic practice. That's basic ethics.
Like I don't even consider myself a journalist or anything, but I put all my sources in the link in the description box.
Hell, if you're an academic, you're required to. If you consider yourself a smart person, then one of the first things they teach you about is sourcing your shit.
Exactly. Plus,
not all of your ideas are your ideas. Yeah. Some of them you're synthesizing from other people, and if
you don't source,
credit that.
And if you don't source it, you end up plagiarizing.
That's plagiarism.
Yeah, plagiarism. So there's a lot of reasons to have sources on all your material.
And the fact that he didn't is really problematic, because either he's he's telling the truth, and he just did something that was really fucking sloppy, in which case you really should be calling into question whether or not this is somebody you want to get your news from, or he's lying to you, in which case not only do you have to question if this is a person that you should get your news from, but now there's the integrity question.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a bit of a strange jab. It's kind of late in the game to be jabbing at Stein. I mean, it's kind of like water under the bridge.
No, this was I mean, this was right before the election.
Okay.
So, to be fair to him, I don't want to be too fair, but
So, was this something old that just came to light?
no,
No.
this
was like 3 or 4 hours ago, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, when I was away, I didn't even know this shit
Yeah.
happened until I was like,
I was away too.
what?
Well,
Like,
what were
I
you
think
thinking? No, don't
it's
do it.
Yeah, I think it's true that, anytime you're doing anything worthwhile, and we've all said,
Are they?
you're going to have just as many people jumping on you as people loving you. So
Yeah.
you're not doing something right.
What's funny to me is I think are they the real progressives or are they Ring of Fire? I don't know exactly. But they're kind of like a network like TYT.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's a smaller network though,
Yeah.
to be fair.
What's funny though is whenever I see them trying to be mimicking as close to mainstream media. I mean, you can look at their setups, the way that they have interviews and discussions, and
Right. They try to be
mimic, yeah.
Sort of mimic the format.
Mhm.
Now you can make some debates as to whether or not they're mimicking the viewpoints. I think they tend to be relatively independent for the most part, but it's again they're a lot of their news sources are sourced via the mainstream media of some form or another. Either it's the American mainstream media or it's the media from some other nation, typically Britain or. Typically Britain would for most of it. So it'd be sources
mean
like
like
The Independent,
BBC?
The Intercept,
Oh.
or so on and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started watching Tim, I mean, this was last year when all the Bernie stuff was heating up. And, like when I tuned in and, I saw different programs, different channels, and I saw the Young Turks, and I was just not impressed for that very reason. It just felt really slick. And the Uyghur guy just seems like this.
Triggered!
Yeah, I mean, he's
Oh.
one of these typical shiny, packaged, angry media news guys, corporate guys.
Well,
They're very much
Triggered! 82 Donald Trump loser videos!
why did you get angry. That
he-
thing is so funny to me, Eric.
no. Oh God! But let it never be forgotten that Cenk Uyghur's arrogance is only matched by his own by his own self-inflicted idiocy. I cannot tell you how many times I had to facepalm in retrospect when I rewatched his definition of socialism.
Oh my!
There's just the.
Wait, you want me to do the trigger just to get even more of a laugh?
Hold on, let me pull up the.
I admittedly have not watched a whole lot of TYT because I never dug it. I never got into it. It was
Yeah, me too. I thought it was like, mainstream media pretending to be independent media. That's,
yeah.
that's their true brand. They claim to be independent, but they're funded by corporate media. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
All right, I posted the video, and it's posted by some very lovely communists, sarcastically titling this particular segment "New Developments in Marxist Theory" by Cenk Uyghur.
They're triggered.
I'm so triggered.
I love Cenk. Well, I don't really like Cenk, but I can't help but chuckle at his failed attempts at trying to posit himself as a radical far lefty.
Oh,
Like he thinks he's so hardcore.
But
I
you
did
know,
find.
Hardcore. I'm so triggered and hardcore.
A week or two ago, I did dig up that video of him and Alex Jones getting into the bitch fight, basically.
Oh yeah, and Jimmy Dore spits.
That was unbelievable. I was like, these are full-grown men, really? Wow.
To be fair, knowing Jimmy's background, it's kind of Alex Jones is very thankful that that's the most Jimmy limited himself to. He's probably knowing where Jimmy Dore grew up, it probably would have resulted in a fist fight.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I was totally more turned on to Tim's way of doing things, which was really just like he always with his sprinkling the facts. But he would put in the facts. He would bring enough, a little bit of levity, a little humor, so it didn't get too depressing. Because let's face it, a lot of it is very depressing.
Yeah.
And and he would just keep that good balance going. And also, I was really looking into Jill Stein at that time and Baraka, and I was really wanting to know more about them. And so he was having them on his show, and it was great because it was like I was learning a lot at the same time. So it just felt so much more open, and the way that he has the call-in shows and everything, it's just a more open dialogue. It's more real, it's more down to earth, where TYT is just not. I can't imagine. Can you imagine them just letting me or anybody call in? They wouldn't do it.
No, no.
You'd be like, triggered. You'd be so triggered when someone tells the truth. They're like, oh, no, triggered. Oh, we have to go to the Clinton safe space. We have to get out.
Hanging up the phone, trigger.
Hello, TYT. Hillary Clinton does lie. Triggered.
And that's the thing with mainstream media and TYT is they're kind of elitist. They won't ever have Q&As with this. What I love with Michael Figueredo, I was on his Patreon. I'm on his Patreon, and he does a thing like this with Google Hangouts for the Patreon members that join, and it's pretty awesome. And he would definitely do a super panel like this with like Tim and HA and Niko. So that will be
really cool.
In the chat, Mass Media Online says Cenk has spies everywhere. Watch out.
Triggered. Trigger spies.
He can hear us with his supernatural ears.
Do we have a thumbs down on
ears.
On my video
trigger.
yet? No, I can't tell.
I don't know if that's ever gonna stop being funny, Erik. It's just like,
hey, Truxney.
Oh my
I keep it real. I keep it real with the humor. But Cenk Uygur, he's in a perfect example of when keeping it real goes wrong.
It reminds me of that line of Chris Rock, keeping it real dumb. That's Cenk Uygur keeps it real dumb.
No, he's a perfect example when keeping it real goes wrong.
Yeah.
Like on the Chappelle Show.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. That whole thing just really was and that's somebody that really never watched their show a lot. That's my perspective. It's like I never followed them and really got into them. That was just a very immediate response. Was just, I don't really like this. It didn't seem real.
There's two times that I followed TYT. One was when they were covering Bernie Sanders, because they were pretty much the only one at a certain time. And they're the only one that really interviewed him until they interviewed him. I think mainstream media might have interviewed him. And then I kind of fell out of it. And then TYT Politics came, and you got Jordan Sheridan covering No Dapple and Standing Rock and Flint.
Right. So something I get the feeling, Iban, that TYT used to be a little bit better. Like a lot of people say that, like there was a time when they were more decent or more honest.
But I think a lot of people, like once a certain amount of time happens, you get to see kind of where they're going, and a lot of people's predictions is, they're just faking being progressives to draw in progressives to come back into the establishment.
The Disney progressives.
Yeah. All right, Stevie.
Hi.
Oh.
We're gonna need to get Stevie a webcam or something, because she has to keep calling on the hand phone.
Oh, okay.
That's gotta get tiring. I don't know if I could hold the phone for that long.
No, that's a little tough.
Yeah.
I see her though. Hey.
Oh, hey. I'm I'm just waiting for the next amazing developments and leftist philosophy from the likes of Cenk Uygur and Sargon of Akkad.
Some of the things that
Marxist
people in chat are saying about
every-
Cenk are killing me. This one says Cenk is sweating and shivering while downing a cheese steak.
Christ.
They don't say this often about someone, but he's really gross. He's always sweating. He does. He has that nervous sweat going on. That's a little scary.
He might be an angry heart attack away from having a heart attack live on TYT. I mean, it sounds a little cruel to laugh, but you know.
Well, he does seem really high strung. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And when you are more high strung or more stressed out, yeah, sure, you're at more risk. No doubt.
I mean, I hate to say it, it might happen one day, and we should just be.
And then Eric's like, "I'll just dig a hole straight to hell now."
Oh, I don't believe in anything. I don't. You know, with me, when it comes to religion, I don't believe in anything. But everyone can believe in whatever they want to believe in. But you know,
just Josh and you.
I know.
It's funny you mentioned that because, like, I originally came from the sort of the new atheist crowd when I was much younger. That was, you know, way back when the whole evolution and creationism debate was a really hot button topic towards the latter years of the Bush administration.
No, big time.
And so I kind of came up through that. So I was introduced to figures through YouTube. So people like Garen Ross, Thunderfoot, Amazing Atheists, and so on and so forth. And then I grew up, and then I realized most of these peoples are dickbags. Like,
I grew up in Georgia, so I mean, I definitely grew up in the church. Both my parents were very, very into the church when I was a kid. And it's kind of funny because I was so different. And I got in a lot of trouble in churches for asking a lot of the wrong questions. And, you know, nothing really, I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I just, you know, I would ask deep questions and they did not want to deal with that. And, no, when I was a teenager, I kind of rebelled against the whole thing. And, you know, because I wanted to study astrology, right? I mean, that's a big thing I do is astrology. I teach it, I do readings, the whole shebang. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of parts of me that didn't mesh. And it's funny because I did a lot of music in the church. I've led music for churches. It's really funny, but, you know, I just don't have I don't have a religion. I don't have a thing. I find truth in many, many different areas, and I just really don't have any sort of judgment or, you know, doctrine on what people want to believe in. I really don't. And if they don't want to believe in anything, that's fine with me. I mean, you know, it's just live and let live. My goodness.
Yeah.
Elizabeth I said, "I don't want to make windows into men's souls," you know, when she was dealing with the whole Catholic Protestant argument. And that's the way I feel. It's just, I'm not trying to dig into somebody's spiritual life. To me, that's entirely personal. And it has nothing to do with anyone else. You know, it's like if you find people that want to do it with you. But I find that no matter what the group is, whether it's New Agers or Christians or whatever they are, when people start getting into a group and it's spiritually based, you're going to have some drama. It's very hard to avoid it. I've seen Buddhists that were just as strict as any Christian. Oh, women shouldn't wear makeup and you shouldn't do this or that. Oh, forget it. Yeah.
The written doctrine.
How about I just be myself and do what I like, and you do what you like?
Yeah, just keep it real with religion. I mean, you know, here's one thing. Some people use it, you know, the wrong way, like, you know, for hatred and, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I personally don't believe in anything, but, you know, I mean, I do believe in Mother Nature. That's
yes. Me too.
I don't believe in anything either. I did a lot of studying of religions when I was was, I guess, in my early 20s. And I guess I would say I'm an agnostic. I like Robert G. Ingersoll's work. If you ever read about him, he's got some great stuff.
I agree with you, Don. Yeah.
My take on it is, even if, like, say, the Christian God came and said, I am God, I have all these powers, right? And we go, okay, so prove you're the Christian God.
Right.
It doesn't matter. He could just be some powerful super being. There would be really no proof that being could do to prove that he was the one that did all the stuff in the past and exactly the way it was dictated in the Bible, etc. And I just think it's just very difficult to prove.
The thing when I was a kid, I was like, okay, so back then all these wild, weird things and bushes would talk and people would hear stuff, and well, how do you know that's not, why isn't that happening now? It's like, or what at what point did the mass hallucinations just stop?
They probably got high on something and like just imagined it. Like they probably took some shrooms and probably talked to a snake or something.
It never ends.
I think
the reality is it never ends.
I think in a lot of ways, if you ask me, my feeling about the whole creation story in the Bible is it's basically an analogy for the emergence of human consciousness and the awareness of a good and a bad, right? It's because it's like, at what point did the human mind stop being like the birds and the rabbits and all the other creatures and develop this sort of consciousness, right?
Mm-mm.
And it's kind of like that to me. That's sort of an analogy for it. It's like at some point, that we evolved to that point, and so we made up stories about how that happened. And there's those kind of creation stories in almost every culture, as any history. So yeah, I mean, it to me is an analogy for the emergence of awareness of conscious mind. But yes, I believe in the birds and the rabbits. That's where I feel happy.
Another thing is,
why can't you just accept the talking snake?
Oh yeah.
Dang it.
What about Raptor Jesus?
Raptor Jesus.
I've never heard of Raptor Jesus.
Or the flying spaghetti monster.
Fairy dragon.
But this is that's one of my big problems with secular talk. It's so aggressive towards religious groups. It's just anytime it comes up, he's not respectful at all.
Well,
I agree.
I think everyone goes through a phase of anger towards religious groups, just because of the historical context of all the violence. Like, for example, if we were in any type of very religious theocracy, the stuff we're saying here would probably get us stoned to death or something.
In Saudi Arabia.
I mean, but like, I'm also the opinion that a lot of that ancient text is kind of serves very similar purposes as to what propaganda serves today.
Mm-hmm.
The modern tools of propaganda serve today. They were a way of justifying the manners and the culture for which the societal elites run upon. This is why, like, you have the story of the downfall of the Canaanites, where the children's heads were dashed against the rocks upon God's orders. And it's just sort of like, how do you justify genocide? Oh, well, God told us to do it, so we did it.
Yeah.
And you can't blame us for it because it's God telling us.
You can't. Yeah. There's no way you can rationally argue with somebody that's really a hardcore believer in anything, because then you're like, well, my invisible guy said. And it's like, anything. I mean, what can you say? But it doesn't exist. They're like, no, but they believe it. So it's like, oh.
What's funny is when I see sports or events, things like that, like a boxing match, and a boxer wins, he goes, yes, God was on my side, and that's why I won. And then, but if he loses, it's like, oh, God is testing me.
Where was he then?
Why have you forsaken me?
Yeah, he's testing him so he can train harder and be more worthy the next time. But God was on the other fighter's side, who incidentally might be an atheist. Right? So it's a...
like, I hate to tell you, God doesn't care if your football team wins or not.
Exactly.
He doesn't have a favorite.
He's not that involved.
Well, actually, he might love the Patriots.
He's sitting up there with his peanuts on.
He just fucking hates Tom Brady.
We can't hear you.
C.S. Lewis, he was a real unusual guy because his whole idea was like, he had that quote. He said, when I got older, I was very angry at God for not existing, and it's like his whole thing was, I might as well believe in this because if it's true, then I'll get a really good afterlife. If it's not true, then I will have lived, a decent moral life with some guidelines. So that was his kind of thing in a way. Yeah. It is interesting how he believed it.
Stevie, can you talk so we could test? Okay, we can hear you.
There we go.
Did your arm ever get tired holding that phone? Because these things last for like 3 hours.
Oh, Eric, P.S. Cooper says you believe in the trigger god. Actually, the Bible kind of is like that. I don't like that trigger.
Your entire colony has been decimated to ruins.
How did we get here?
Something David Pacman, something socialism, which somehow leads to religion because only atheists can be godless communists.
Wow, there's a lot.
Maya, Cenk Uygur, and Triggered.
He is
truly. We need some more janky and Marxist dialectics.
John Ossoff.
Oh. Yeah, people didn't catch that. Man, Ariel did a good bit of all the material she got from John Ossoff's campaign.
With a big, scary picture of Trump. Look at that. Actually, from the Democratic Party of Georgia.
Did anyone see Tim Black's takedown of Elizabeth Warren with ironically, speaking of Cenk Uygur? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, man.
Awesome. I had to watch the interview afterwards.
So I want to run as an independent that raises $0 against Elizabeth Warren, just so I could just call her out on all the stuff that she's faux aggressive on.
Wow.
I call her Disney's version of Pocahontas. I mean, she's like a fake, phony Disney progressive. I mean, she's a total letdown.
It is disappointment. I mean, she's up in her years, right? I mean, she's not... They all act like their hopes are riding on her, but she's not. I mean, she's not a young person.
My hopes aren't riding on her.
You hear that. People will talk about her, like, not us.
I know people. My mom's one of them.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I don't understand.
She can't even vote.
Glorification of Warren. Her record isn't nearly as progressive or even democratic as people make it out to be. She's voted, the right way on a couple things, but a lot of her record is not that good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In reality, it's not very good. But there are apparently enough people who believe that if I can find somebody who believes in 10% of what I do, that's close enough. Like that is an actual mentality people have right now. Like
how long did
especially
it
in the liberal.
Anything about Dabble?
Oh.
How many months was it?
It took exactly as long as it took Barack Obama to say, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't take these people's land. Maybe we should put a stop to that until Trump gets in."
Wow.
I mean, like by the time she pitched in, I was like, "Wait, you didn't already say something? Like I didn't miss it, or like why now? It just seems a little after the fact, isn't it?"
I think she just like when she didn't really pick and choose a candidate in the Democratic primary, I think she always chooses the safe route.
Yeah, she's like long and short of it. Please don't treat her like she's some great leader. She's not. She's
I just have to laugh because honestly, I mean,
like
I always think of Donald Trump calling her Pocahontas. I always think of the Disney Like,
Yeah.
not the real Pocahontas, the Disney Pocahontas. And she's like the Disney princess of the Democratic Party.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, that's not. That's unfortunately not a horrid analogy. She kind of. I don't like personally. I'm a bit iffy about the racial component, but yeah, the general thrust of that. Yeah, I agree. She has she puts a very pretty face on the Democratic Party that it really does not
Her
deserve.
Disney face.
So, I mean, I kind of followed her for a while and kind of made excuses as to some of her positions, and I'm not on that.
Like, I'm still willing to give some cover for Bernie. I would not in my life give cover to Elizabeth Warren at this point.
So I was talking.
Mass media said Pocahontas.
I love that.
Mass media has some good
that
stuff
was
out
good.
there.
You said it, not me.
Material.
So I was talking with Mike Figueredo in his Patreon chat session. He has something similar to this, but in Google Hangouts. And it was a good point about Bernie, and something that I went upon is, even though Bernie seems like he just kind of turned and away from the real progressive movement type of thing, I think he still listens to the folk, the common people like us.
No.
Like, if we give him enough voice of what we want, he'll listen. I don't think that would really happen with Elizabeth Warren.
No. I mean, that's the thing about Bernie Sanders. To me, like, I thought he was always pretty clear that he didn't want to be in the position of leadership. He had said quite repeatedly that he did not want to be in the position of leadership. He just took it as out of a personal point of necessity.
Well, yes. Well, that's the thing.
So it's not like we. So
the
it's not
thing
like,
is, if no one else is stepping up, you've got to step up. And even though you don't want to be a leader, stepping up is a position of leadership.
right.
Like, I don't want to do all this. I would rather just, play video games and fish all the time and ignore everyone's issues and just ride out the Donald Trump era. But I don't know. Now that I have kids, I feel like, okay, it's not about me anymore. And then now that I hear about so many other people by, listening to call-ins and listening to people in independent media where people actually call in and talk about their troubles, I'm like, oh crap, it's worse than I thought, because there's actually people affected by it, and it's not just my kids that might be affected by it. And it's
There's people right now being affected by it.
Exactly. And so I feel like, okay, I'll wait for someone to step up, and then I'll just follow them. That'll be easy. I'll give like $20, and then it's like, well, there's some things you can do besides that, and no one else is doing it. So okay, so people just step up, like you guys step up to actually appear on this, which is awesome, because it gives more people to chat and say whatever they want. People come on and vent, or just kind of have talking points.
I would say that the past year has been a pretty good year for the radical left, even though we didn't have any great political victories in terms of our ability to affect control on or to affect influence on society. What did end up happening was that it led to, I think, a growing interest in radical politics and radical analyses that previously had been strongly discouraged among those on the left. And so we were left with this phony neoliberal sort of political Overton window. And now that there's a resurgence in left-wing libertarian and as well as democratic social democratic policies, I think we are seeing a shift in the Overton window that we haven't seen in the better part of 30, 50 years.
Why would you say those are radical, though? Policies.
Well, I mean, a part of this is speaking from my own lens of perspective, from my own personal journey over the past year, from being a leaning away liberal to a social democrat to a newly self-identifying libertarian socialist. So for me, it's the entire year has been an example of me constantly searching deeper and deeper into the hole. And while I don't think everybody is going to have the same thirst for understanding as I ended up taking, I do think that there's an interest for a deeper analysis of the problems facing society that previously was not being engaged in. And that's what I mean when I use the term radicalization. Does that explain it a little better?
Well, I think that you're bringing up some good points and talking about basically not everybody's going to agree on all the minutiae, but the basics are there. There's the basics of what people need. And I think that that's why, I mean, ultimately, if you want to really just make it simplistic, that's why people have ultimately lost faith and enthusiasm for the Democrats is it's even bigger than the cheating Bernie. The cheating Bernie is just a symptom of the disease. The disease is much bigger. Because they're the party that's supposed to really take care of the people, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it at all, and they don't even seem to even care very much about hiding it. They'll have a very, very sheer, very thin veneer, and they'll talk, about it a little bit when they campaign, but are they really coming out and saying, yes, we need health care right now for everybody so that you don't have to worry about going bankrupt anymore from medical? These are the things that have to happen very quickly right away. And if they keep pushing it off and putting it off, it's going to be very hard to avoid a violent type of revolution, because that's what pushes people closer and closer to the brink of that. And if they want to avoid something like that, you would think.
Yeah.
But it's so controlled by greed. Greed is the biggest thing of all, and that's on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, and a lot of politics is just controlled by greed. The reason we don't have health care is because a hell of a lot of people make a ton of money by not letting us have it. That's it. Simple as that. Reason why we have such a big military industrial complex, there's some people who make a lot of money on that. And I hate to say it, but and maybe I'm going to get stomped by someone now. If someone comes and takes me away in a bag, you'll know what happened. But here's the thing.
Oh, I just thought they were just going
to ever get away from that without having some darn heads rolling and bringing the guillotine back out? Are we ever going to be able to wrest that away from these people while they yet live?
Yeah. I mean, every very rich person gets always a light sentence these days. Yeah. They get pardoned by the presidents. And then you've got these guys who don't make anything that have a very low level crime, and they go away for years. And it's not like someone who's doing like a pyramid scheme or whatever you call it, where they just take millions of dollars from people. It's like, oh, you get 20 years. 20 years?
Yeah.
It's so different here in Norway. Like, if you rape somebody, you get like 2 years in jail.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That's interesting.
I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think the punishment should be more severe if you hurt somebody.
Oh, definitely.
Like financial crime here, you could get like 20 years, but well, if you kill somebody, you will be out in 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy from Norway, I went and saw the Michael Moore documentary.
The prison on the island?
Did you hear that? He went to different countries basically to see how they do things, and there was that whole thing about the lighter sentences for violent crime in the Nordic countries. And it was very interesting. And then the jails were almost more like a house arrest than being in a prison. And the thing that they were talking about, though, is that there's very little recurrence of crime. Like once somebody gets out, there's very little recurrence. Whereas here, you almost always have it happen again. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that.
Well, how it works here locally, you have like people doing petty crime, burglary, stealing, and they add up. The police, they just add the cases up, and then when they have like 20, 30 cases on one guy, they bust him, and he just gets 2 years in jail. But that kind of guy, he won't. He will keep it up when he gets out.
So is there, like, say a guy rapes someone there in Norway, and then they get 2 years, and then right when he gets out, he rapes someone again. Do they just get 2 years again, or do they get a harsher penalty?
Could get a harsher penalty, yeah. Sometimes, it's each case is different.
Right.
But yeah, about that Michael Moore documentary, I remember.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, that one prison, I'm not sure if he visited it, but we have a prison on an island
Yes.
where everybody is free, and there was a guy there that he was sentenced for killing somebody with a chainsaw, and he was there working with the chainsaw, cutting down trees. And,
you never see that in America.
No.
He hasn't had an incident since then, has he?
No.
Well, it's interesting, and I think that the point, and I don't agree with Moore on everything by any means, my goodness. The reason I like a lot of his stuff is because it does get you thinking about things and talking about things, and that to me is a good thing. But the thing that he was kind of talking about is, because of the way that people in prisons there are handled with more integrity, more dignity. They're treated like human beings, basically, instead of garbage. Therefore, there does tend to be a lower recurrence of the crimes because they're not treated like scum. They actually, for a change, maybe have people treating them with a little bit more respect and dignity than they're used to. And so sometimes that can be very disarming to people. It's like, whoa, wait, I could actually be treated like a human? What?
It's great, but the sentiment here is, we had that one guy mass murdering political youths some years ago, and he killed like 130 people.
Right. Yeah.
And that guy, he thought when he got busted that they would just, kill him or put him in some dark place and torture him. But none of that happened. They have him in jail in my town. They rotate. Anyway, they still treat him with dignity, and I don't know. I think that's kind of a waste, Political. I mean, it costs a lot to keep him alive, and he won't ever do anything good for society.
You know what, though?
So I think we're too light sometimes.
Yeah, but couldn't someone just kill him and get off on a light sentence anyway? I mean...
Well, actually, the prisoners that he's serving with, well, they keep him separated from the rest, but if they did let him out with the others, they would kill him in a heartbeat. The other inmates.
Yeah.
They would actually take pride in
James
it.
Young. James Young is back for more. Awesome.
Yeah, I study a lot about criminology and all that kind of thing, and it's interesting to me how things are done in different countries.
Yeah, well, I can see that a lot of things are better here, and that's definitely one area where we are better off.
Yeah, it's like a lot of it. What you see in America now is that the richer or the better lawyer you can afford, the lighter your sentence will be. It has a lot to do with class. It's class warfare in this country. There's no getting around it. I mean, that's what Martin Luther King talked about. It's what Malcolm X was. I mean, the root of what they were all getting at. It wasn't even so much about race as it was about class and about the inequality between rich and poor. I mean, that's really the root. Deep.
And for me, it's also about, I'm not sure if it was some of the military or something in me, but it was for me, it's more about, instead of capitalist system where it's just every man for himself, accumulate more. In order to get ahead, you have to leave people behind. That way you get a head start and can hoard them a lot easier.
Right.
For me, it's always about whether, even if it's a sports team, it's you have to work as much as you can to help the person who's maybe not the worst. And it's not because of lack of effort, it's just maybe lack of practice, lack of training, lack of knowledge, but get them up to speed, and so you're all playing at the same level and you can actually move forward together, right? So eventually, once you're in tandem as a group, you're much more effective at working to get surviving. What I like is watching something like Survival, like Alone, or
actually, actually a good example of this mentality is perhaps the German soccer team. No, this may sound like a strange example, but I mean, the German soccer team, at least as far as I can tell, doesn't have any like notably standout all-star players, but they have a very strong composition all around, and and to the point that when the last FIFA Cup came around, even though Argentina had a wonder star like Messi, there was nothing that they could do because the rest of Germany's composition was so solid. And they already knew to focus him, their star player. So
yeah,
there's something to be said about having everybody on equal level with good coordination.
But there are also some of these star players where they actually help others to be better too. So, I mean, there are some that just want to get the glory, right? But then there's actually some that want to get everyone a little bit better by teaching them.
Isn't that how it is with the Nigerians with their marathons? I heard that very helpful. I mean, they all run together like 100, 200 people.
Yeah.
And they help each other.
That it reminds me of that story. They made a movie about, and several documentaries about the rugby team in the Andes alive, and it was back in the 70s, I believe it was, late 60s, early 70s, and their plane, they were going from over to Chile across the mountains, and crashed up in there, and they were up there for months, and quite a few of the people died on impact, but a good number of the team was left up here in this snowy glacier in these mountains that are just unbelievably impassable. And after about a week or two, they realized nobody was still looking for them. So yeah, they ended up, they were melting the snow. They ended up having to make the decision to eat some of the dead bodies, which were preserved in the snow. And it was grueling. It was unbelievable. And I highly recommend either reading that book. I've read the books. I've watched the movie. That was extremely inspiring to me because, they said that. They said a big part of why they felt they survived was because they were a team. They already thought like a team. They already acted like a team. And so when they got up in that bizarre world, I mean, these are guys that had never seen snow. They're all from South America. And suddenly they're up there in these freezing temperatures, huddling in this fuselage of this plane at night to not freeze to death. It took months. It was, I think, like 4 or 5 months, maybe more, before they finally, the two guys, they made the decision, we're going to climb out of this place. We're going to go down into this valley. We're going to just see what happens. And so that's what they did. They had some, one of them had, their mother had died, and their sewing kit was in the plane. They tore all the insulation out of the plane. They made a sleeping bag and all that, and they hauled it out of there. And when they finally got down into this valley, and they found a rancher, on a horse across this river. And when they took them back up in that plane, they got the rest of the people up out of that mountain. They said, "You didn't climb down here." They said, "There's no way you climbed down there." And they said, "Yeah, we did. We really did climb all this." So there you go. I mean, that to me is the power of people coming together. And they even said that. They said if we hadn't been together, if we hadn't been a group, we wouldn't have made it. One guy wouldn't have made it. No way would it have happened. And if we hadn't thought like a team, and as soon as somebody would start either complaining or there would be infighting about somebody got more of something, they would squash it. They would just say, no, we're not fighting with each other. We've got to stay strong. That's the only way they got out of there. And that kind of thing will change you forever. But, I think that's what makes humans unique, is we do need each other. We do. And so that's why it's so dangerous, the thinking in America, this every man for himself, and, step on the little guy, get what you want, look out for number one, you deserve more, you should have it all, To
me, it seems like
thinking. It undermines the very essence of what humans need, which is each other's help, each other's cooperation.
Totally.
Well, it seems like there's a lot more of that in the big cities. Like if you go to the small villages, it's always people are always friendlier. Everything's better.
Even in the South.
No.
Believe it or not, but yeah, they'll help you. They'll change.
Here you see a lot. It used to be like more, I guess, communal. Like there'd be more like people helping each other out. Like neighbors, throwing in for dinner, and then like I don't know. I guess within the past maybe 10 years, probably less than that. I see people that they'd stab each other in the back for a job. Like that's how. Like we've like lost that in a big part here, which is really sad to see.
Hey, everyone, I'm gonna be heading in early tonight.
Okay.
Are we going to be doing an after show for Thursday, or?
Well, Kelly, Stevie, or Erik might host one tomorrow, depending on if they're able. I just
available.
What was that?
Who's available?
I am.
Okay. Well, we'll have a Stevie host night. Give
All
Erik
right.
a break.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I just like being in the conversation, but if more people came, I'm definitely okay with opting out, so I could just chat, because the chat's pretty awesome. I like reading the chat.
That's why. Sadly, this is where I have to head off, because I have hotel cleaning duties tomorrow.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, have yourself a wonderful night now.
Yeah, have a good night.
Yep.
Thanks for joining again.
Good night. I'll see you all hopefully for a full show tomorrow.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I don't know, these things are marathons, though. I mean, I think every session has been at least 2.5 hours.
I don't have work on Friday. That's the benefit.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, if we keep this up in like a month, we'll just like have all the problems solved,
Well,
we're gonna fix everything.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, this is just gonna turn into a 24-hour live stream-a-thon.
I mean, if you
And
think,
you'll probably see me be like sleeping in the sunglasses, popping on the TV, like.
I mean,
mic check.
Yep, we can hear you.
Thank you, guys. I came in when you guys. Hey, good night. Yes, I came in. You guys. I know this is food night, so I was thinking, wow, cannibalism. Is that our topic tonight?
Oh, I think tomorrow is going to be the food night. That's what Kelly.
Oh, tomorrow's food night. Okay.
It's Jenny.
I really see.
Start on it.
I really see you guys kind of like I wouldn't say the elders, but the wise ones that are trying to fix the planet and fix the world and fix the nation. I just see I just feel a ton of wisdom. And it may be just because you guys have been following so many things for so long and staying in tune to what's going on. I was pretty naive. You're probably not going to believe this, but I used to hang around with my Republican friends before 2007, and then a light went off when I saw this black guy running for. It was when he was still a congressman or a representative or something at the time, and he had this really cool speech. And then I started really noticing that Fox News wasn't really the right place to be getting my information. And then I started doing my own research and my own due diligence, and then I found out that they're just totally full of shit. But I've been deep in trying to get as much information as I can as much facts as I can, as much research as I can get in and investigate. I mean, I've called and spoken to NASA astronauts. I've talked to mayors and governors. Who hasn't spoken to the sentinels at a representative's phone? What are those? The interns, right? Everybody's talking to interns. And getting the word from the horse's mouth instead of listening to MSNBC, CNN, Fox, and all this other stuff. Are you guys is it food night, or are we talking about just everything? What are we doing?
Dude, you can talk about anything on
A
here.
little bit of everything, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she brought up, Coco brought up some really cool stuff about that. And I never read the book, but I heard the story and I've seen some newsreels on it back in the day. And
There's
and
a movie.
It's in regards. I'm talking about her story of the rugby team that
Alive.
almost alive. They almost ate each other. Yeah, maybe I saw that movie. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But the thing is and then I texted. It's like paddling canoe. When I used to paddle canoe in Hawaii, and we did pretty good. We came in second in the state, which isn't bad. But the thing is you can't win a race with one oar in the water.
Yeah.
Everybody's paddling, everybody's in unison. There is somebody steering the boat, but the biggest thing is it's a together thing, and that kind of applies to what I believe the elites want us to do, is to separate us, make us to want us to fight against each other. They want us to split up and just not be. If we were all there, it is okay. I've seen that. That's perfect. Okay, I will be getting that soon. I'll get
Miracle in the Andes, which is actually from the perspective of the guys Nando Parado, who climbed out of there. This one's my favorite one, Miracle in the Andes.
That's pretty awesome. Okay.
Oh, I have a couple of books to show. Hold on.
It's his book showing time. But you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Does everybody understand?
Yeah.
It's really simple. So as long as they keep us bickering against each other and not focusing and paddling together in one, it would be. I'm cutting myself off, but as long as they keep us separated or bickering with each other and us not being unified, it makes them stronger. So if we're all linked together, and a good movie is the movie Ants, when the ants are linked together and they're going, once we all lock arms together, we outnumber them.
Oh hell yeah! They're afraid of that.
I love that movie.
Honestly, it makes the 1% look like total pussies.
Yeah, we will eat the snakes.
But here's the books. I have 2 of them.
Okay, let me see.
Plus, but they're by the same person.
One called Triggered.
No. I appreciate the
Dude,
humor.
you know what, Eric? You need to write a book called Triggered.
Yes! Do it.
Triggered. It'll probably be about PC, social justice warriors, all that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been observing their behavior. That's one thing.
Yeah, basically every group, I guess you could say, what triggers them.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good idea.
Pretty much. But here I am going to show the books.
Let's go. Let's see it.
Oh, H.A.
Oh, H.A. Goodman.
Yeah!
That's our boy.
But I've been meaning to read the second one, but I've been busy with a bunch of other stuff, so I'm going to get to it as soon as possible now.
Awesome.
Oh, did you see Tulsi Gabbard defended H.A. Goodman from David Peckman's smear?
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was awesome. I mean, how do you? I mean, so who's gonna be on David Peckman's side, defending his attack against
Kyle
H.A.?
Kulinski?
Hillary Clinton, maybe.
The DNC. For sure.
Kyle Kulinski. Smug alert. I just have to say it, smuggler. I just see this like, the smugness of him. That, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm just being honest. That's why he rubs me the wrong way. I mean, just like, the TYT, the three-way, that three-way, pretty much criticizing the DNC fraud lawsuit. I mean, that to me looked like a shady circle jerk right there. Well, I'll be right back. I'm going to go put these back.
Like a dark circle jerk.
And
That's
on
bad.
that note,
I know. Okay, so everybody's talking. I think the topic is unity. So
yeah, that's a good.
as you guys were talking about people coming together and doing things, I look back at my heritage in Hawaiian. I'm 37.5% Hawaiian. So
Oh, cool.
back in the day when we migrated from the Alpine Mountains of Africa and went down through the northern tips of Australia, the northern tips, and then went on to New Zealand and through the American Samoas and Tonga and all the Tongans, Fijians, Samoans, Maori. If you all put them all together in one bunch and mix them together, they look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. They're all big, they all kind of look like Maui.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, but all those tribes, and we all come from tribes, the Scottish tribes and the Viking tribes, and they all worked together as a unit, and they were stronger that way.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I think the biggest problem in our nation is our separation, and I think I have Republican friends. One of my best friends I've known since I was 10 years old. His dad's richer than snot, but he's been in the trenches. He's had a crappy car. He's done, his dad never gave him a cent, like Donald Trump's dad gave him billions of dollars when he was a kid. But the thing is we have a really good relationship and we respect each other's opinions, and we want the same thing. We want a future for our kids. We want a future for our grandkids, and they're on and they're on and they're on. And I think that's where we really should try to find a bond. And I know this is good. This is a tough one, to find a bond with some Republicans that aren't the 27% of the extremists of the Republican Party. Did you guys understand what I'm saying?
Oh, big time.
Yeah. So there's still some out there that have actually recently left. I said, what the hell is this game show host running this? They're embarrassed. Most of the more intelligent and more free-thinking conservatives are people that have actually looked at Bernie's policies and looked at some of Jill's platforms and looked at some of the Democrats' centrist propositions and what they proposed, and said, hey, that's fine. Just don't take away my guns. I want to keep my AK-47 or whatever. Which, I mean, there's got to be some kind of place where we can all meet in the middle. I mean, there's got to be a place. But if they keep us separated, we're screwed.
It's all about common sense, isn't it? I mean,
well, maybe uncommon sense nowadays.
Yeah.
Common sense is so common.
I like that what you were saying about heritage. Like that's kind of like what. That's kind of where my channel kind of got its start, because it's like, I started looking into like the mine wars, and they were talking about like the conditions of like the coal mines, and they had there were black, immigrant, and white workers, but they kept them all in different camps. They kept them all segregated, and even though they had the same problems, and they had language barriers, all this stuff, all these ways that they try to keep us separated. But we, somebody came in, Mother Jones, and
Yes.
and that was basically the parallels between her and Bernie Sanders here are crazy. I mean, like they called her what was it, the most dangerous woman in America,
Yes.
and that's what they were calling Bernie. And then he comes in here and he gets people all riled up and wanting health care, and So that's where I look to it. It goes back to like here to try and get unity. I was going more with like workers, like unions. So I think like money, basically, or lack thereof, is kind of like the one thing that brings us together. Because everybody's broke these days. What are you doing?
So what's going on in Seattle? Aren't they kicking ass? The 15 hour,
Yeah.
$15 an hour. I mean, and then Colorado. I mean, marijuana is just building like the best roads and schools that you could even imagine.
I hope that happens in Massachusetts because our roads are horrible.
Yeah, California, we've got potholes everywhere. That's how sad it is, and there's money flying around everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's the point. Is there are these proposed bills that have stuck in Seattle in regarding minimum wage going up to 15, and then also in the marijuana legalization law and people being able to profitize from it, especially the government, has done just wonders. So those are great examples, but I don't really see a lot of Democrats waving that sign or putting it up on that billboard. Those are huge. That's huge. And that's the problem. And then when you see all these other countries that have, Medicare or similar single payer and universal health care and how people are better taken care of, and they're healthier, and they treat each other better. I mean, there's just so many benefits to the socialistic side of government.
Yeah, I think it's just getting to a point where the people can work together. One of my favorite books is Ender's Game.
Oh.
If you guys read it, yeah, they made a movie of it. I didn't like it, but the book.
Yeah, I saw the movie.
Yeah, so basically, it's kind of a little bit like that. Also, strategically, you've got the I forgot what the aliens were called, the ant-like things.
Lord Zeno.
Xenomorphs, yes, or this, yeah. Anyways, the Xeno, we'll call them.
I said Lord Zeno just as a joke, but I was just taking my guess.
I forget what it was. If someone could help me remember, I don't know. I hate it because it's like my favorite book and I have it with me. But basically, it's like the Queen, and it tells all its workers what to do, and they could only do so much at one time because it's only one person thinking and everyone else following to do the work. And I think that's a lot like how the elitists are. They got a lot of money, they're doing the thinking, but they have to have everyone follow. But then you've got the humans where everyone is an individual. Everyone has their own thoughts, their own thought process, their own different way of handling a situation as it's going on. And so that makes us a lot more powerful because we can adjust and make all these changes and actually end up defeating something that's a lot more like very quick to adapt and move because there's only one control source. So I mean, it's kind of great thinking about it. Is we just got to have so many people, so many thinkers, so many trying to tackle each problem at a time, because there's so many problems we can't win by solving one problem at a time. We have to all have our groups or all join in and certain different types of problems to solve it, and then they can't handle all of everyone just working together on different things to solve it. So right now they always have us attacking listening to the Russia, or attack the left attacking the right attacking the left, and we're kind of backed out, right? We can't really call ourselves progressives or liberals because there are progressives and liberals that aren't like us. We can't really. Some that are, I guess, more conservative wouldn't say that they're real libertarians, or because they might like some socialist, or not socialist, but some progressive aspects. So we're all kind of in this together. Just we're stepping back from everyone fighting, and we want to just kind of talk and just move forward. Where do we go next? What do we do now? And I think we just have to fix all these little fires first, and then we can all get together and fight that big fire.
Yeah. To me, I think it all really comes down to the everyday basics of health and food. And this could be a good segue for tomorrow, talking more about nutrition and food. But it's, those are the most basic things that hit people. The old saying, if you have your health, you have everything. And so it really is true. I mean, really, if you're well and you're whole,
yeah,
you don't need a whole lot else. I mean, that's really a large part of your happiness right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think those things and probably coming together in smaller ways, because there isn't also that question that sometimes hits my mind of, is this country just too huge for us to expect one central government system to work anymore?
Mm-hmm.
It's so big, and not only that, it's very diverse. And, people are somewhat different on the, like on the East Coast versus the West Coast, et cetera. But essentially everybody's needs are the same. Everybody needs food. Everybody needs their health. Everyone needs a
clean
home.
water.
Yeah, clean water, clean air, and peace. People don't want to have a war in their backyard. They don't want a nuclear reactor in their backyard. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
So these are things that, I mean, it's like it's easy to get distracted by all the little details, all the little stuff. But when I'm very much about, if you notice, I'd like to try to distill it into the purest core essence of what we really all need, want, deserve, our basic human integrity, is really what it's all about. If you get that straight, then and that's what's hard, because you've got people that are hardcore convinced that somehow they're so different from someone else, and they're really not. Like, well, your accent's different and your values in some ways might be different, but essentially you do want the same thing. Trust me, you do. It's like
common grounds. It's always common grounds.
It is. Nobody wants their kids to be hurt. I've never had kids. I have no desire to have kids, but I want other people's kids to be all right. I want them to. I don't mind getting taxed so that someone else's kid can have health care. Because guess what? That kid's going to grow up, they're going to pay into the system, and I'll get it too. It doesn't, it's like we're all in the same boat. And it's a thing, there was a line in Michael Moore's Sicko, and he was talking about countries that have, those programs and things, and there is more of he says an attitude of it's we, not me, And it's like what's good for us is good for me, and vice versa. It should be that way.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders, not me, us.
Yeah,
that's like one of the best quotes that Bernie Sanders does have. Not me.
See how that resonates with so many people, because they're thirsty for hearing that.
I wish I could find this article, but there's a small town in Colorado, I believe, and their doctor kind of retired, but they have trouble getting a doctor in because the doctor wouldn't be able to get a lot of money because it's such a small town. So what the town did was they all pitched in. So they wanted to give out the practice, the building, the facility to the doctor who comes for free, but they couldn't do that. So they have to lease it for $1. So they leased it for $1, and their home is also paid for, and so they just want a doctor because the nearest doctor for them was like 2 or 3 hours drive away, and that's through like the mountains, and they can't have that. And so and so the old retired doctor was still around, still trying to help people, but she can't handle all that. So I mean, that's pretty cool incentive. Like, if you want to live a nice quiet life with neighbors who will take care of you because you're going to be taking care of them, that's awesome. And you don't have to worry about money. And
the story that I was starting to tell yesterday before my connection went out on me was about from when I was a baby. my pediatrician was a lady named Dr. Leela Denmark, and anybody that's older has kind of history in Georgia will know her name. She was born in 1898. She lived to be 114 years old.
Damn.
And she never lost her mind, never lost her clarity of thought. She was smart all the way up to the end. And but I went to her as a kid, and she was, this tiny little lady. She was an Aquarius sun sign, very typical, very independent, but she loved being a doctor. And she used to say, she said, everything in life is either work or it's play. And if you work at something you love, then it's all play. You'll never work a day in your life, And so she did not take insurance. You would probably pay about $6 or $7 for a visit. And her room was always full. You would just have to wait. She didn't take appointments. So you would just come in and you'd wait. And as long as it took. And I remember she would sometimes hand people a bag of dried black-eyed peas because they're some of the best high-quality protein in the world. And she said she'd see these children coming in on these what she called white food diets. And they were completely anemic, completely sick. And she'd tell them, I'm going to tell you what to do for this baby. I'm going to tell you how to feed them. And if you take this and you don't do what I tell you to do and they're still sick, do not bring them back here. She'd do simple blood tests. She'd prick your finger, look at it, rattle, slide. No drama, no lab fees, nothing coming a bill in the mail. And she knocked out many a sore throat for me just by taking mercurochrome, which you can't buy anymore. And she'd swab my throat with it, knock the pain right out. Bomb, it was gone. No, she was incredible. She was just a common sense person who people came to till I think she retired at 101. And she was a suffragette. She, would tell you stories about that. How she said, women wanted the rights because they were sick of the men drinking and carrying on and leaving the families. And she said, but the thing was, she said, as soon as women got the vote, they started doing all the same rotten things the men were doing. And she said, so what, you got to think about what you're really fighting for. But I'll tell you, she was a one-woman revolution in this state. She helped get the polio vaccine going. She was the second woman in Georgia to graduate from medical school. And she was a huge influence on my life. And that was a big thing that she was about, was nutrition and, providing for people and truly being there for each other. Her books, Yvonne, her book's about child raising. Her book, Every Child Deserves a Chance.
I got to take a look.
I mean, I'll talk more about her in the future because she was just really something.
Well, it's easy to remember her name because my daughter's named Leela too.
Oh
So,
my
Denmark.
goodness! How
Wow,
rare.
that's trippy.
Wow.
Oh,
Cool.
Meant to be.
I have a little zebra French named Birdie. I call him a little birdie. He's a little itty bitty birdie.
Oh, I love birds so much.
Me too. I'm a real bird lover.
Me too. Always, my whole life.
I'm just envious of birds. Completely and totally envious of birds. They fly by me, and I think they're flipping me off every time. They're like, stupid human stuck to the ground. It's like, you bastards.
And the most amazing moment of Bernie Sanders' campaign was that bird.
Oh my God!
Finch.
Yes,
House finch.
that was huge. That was an epic moment.
How could that not be a sign? I'm not a believer, but man, that just got me like, how can?
Yeah, I had goosebumps.
Yeah.
I remember Jimmy covering not that long ago that a bird pooped on Tom Perez or something. And that was also a sign.
That was
Don't fuck with
I remember
nature.
Donald Trump with the eagle.
Oh yeah,
my
that's
God.
that
That eagle
too.
wanted to eat. That eagle wanted his eyeballs. That eagle literally wanted to poke his eyeballs. Yeah.
I have chickadees outside, and I swear they think I'm some kind of, because of my black hair, they think that I'm some kind of real weird, big, large mouth-shaping chickadee. So they kind of take pity on me, and they kind of come over and they chickadee at me, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, she's a little weird, but she brings us the food and the seeds, so I'll let her
Wait,
stay.
you have chickens?
Chickadees.
Chickadees.
Little
Aw.
chickadees, the black cap chickadee. They have that. That's what I said. They think I'm probably a big, funny-looking chickadee because I got the black cap.
Aw.
They're sweet. They just had a nest box, and they had one that hatched in there. And he fluttered out of there because there was a wren kind of harassing the box. And so I didn't know if he meant to fledge out of the box or if it was harassed out. So I scooped the little chickadee up, and I got to hold him and look at him. And I put him back in the box. And just a few minutes later, he pops out. He's like, damn it. No, he's like, I didn't mean to get back in there. He's like, what did you do that for? He was ready to come out. But he still comes around, and I hear him because the babies, they kind of go, it's a different sound. He comes around. He knows me. It's really cute. Kills me. I love my birds.
You should record it sometime.
I've had parakeets too, and raised parakeets. The bird life.
Awesome.
You guys, my son has a pufferfish that we just got because he was doing so good for school. The
What
15 a pufferfish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little, not a big pufferfish, but a little. It's as big as my freaking thumb. And but here's the ridiculous part of it all. The tank, what kind of water? It's kind of it's like a
salt water,
salt and fresh water mix or whatever.
Brackish.
Brackish water. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the whole thing costs like $600.
Oh wow!
This giant for this little tiny fish, and I'm just waiting for it to die. You know, not because I want it to die. It's so I can tell his mom. I could go, there you go. I just spent $250. You spent $300 something, and this is the result because the freaking killed the fish. But he hasn't. He's actually been very responsible. He got some snails, and now he sells the snails online, and he's making money.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is really ingenious and entrepreneurial of him. It's pretty impressive.
Cool.
But it's just amazing how pets and I know it. Don't get me started on pet psychologists. Don't even. That's crazy. That's nuts. Because I took Fufu to the doctor, and he said he was kind of having a little resistance because of my new boyfriend that I brought in. But what?
Yeah.
I mean, this is nuts.
Take him for a while.
One thing that is true that with larger parrots is that they will bond to you if you don't have another bird for them to bond to. And sometimes even if you do have another bird, they might not like the other bird. And so they will bond because that's what they do in the wild to their bird, their partner. Then they'll get really possessive of whichever human they like the best. So if you have a kid or you get a dog or you get married or bring someone new into the house, the bird will flip out. I knew a guy that he was single and he couldn't bring people over. The bird would just attack his face if there was somebody else around because it was jealous. And yeah, I would never have a large parrot. I mean, it's mean, it's like they need that. They need their partner in the wild. It's too hard for them.
So here's this will be the segue to food tomorrow.
Yay.
So there's food out there. We know that it's depleting. We know that the soil's being destroyed. The water's being destroyed.
Dead since the 40s.
So everything's
actually, yeah.
So now that Drump, I don't say Trump because I don't think he deserves that name. I call him Drump. So Drump has passed or taken away a lot of what is that? Gosh, I hate when I get stuck with these words. He's deregulated. He's lifted some of the laws and some of the regulations for a lot of the larger corporations, so they can now just pretty much pee on everybody, basically, and just pour their oil inside of your bathtub or your Kool-Aid or whatever, or your Mai Tai. But the thing is I really believe in regards to the animals, we're going to have a hard time. I mean, people are warning us right now you need to go vegan.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, the only thing I can think of as far as keeping livestock, because there's not going to be much space, is parking structures to herd livestock.
Yeah.
You know, like, you ever been in a big parking structure where it's like 4 or 5 stories high?
Sure.
So put a bunch of cows in there, let them run around, and then you see what I'm saying?
Wow.
I see that happening very soon. I just, and I hate to bring this down. I know we were talking about some good stuff,
Oh, it's all right.
but I think this is important that we make sure. And I know you guys were talking about this last night. We need a movement of people, of course, but all in all, when it comes right down to it, you can philanthropize. That's not even a real word. You can be a philanthropist as much as you want, and you can donate as much as you want. But like I said, it's those people you put into power, you vote into power, you guide into power that make those laws and create those laws. So, I realize that more now than ever, because when I was younger, I didn't give a crap about this stuff. I don't know how long. I mean, Eric, have you? I mean, you're what, 28?
29.
Okay, I was close. So you're about 28, 29 years old. So how long have you been involved in politics?
Let's see. Ever since I really graduated, like I was a registered Democrat when it came to the 2008 election, but when things took a turn for the worse for the Democrats in the 2016 election, I became a no party affiliation.
Perfect. I love that. So Red, are you there?
Yeah.
So you're 30. You're 28. You're 28. I don't know, whatever you are. Don't say your age. I know women don't want to say that, but I mean, you've been involved in politics for a long time, or?
Oh, I was interested in it when I was a kid, and I was interested in like politics and news, but I gave up on it, and I didn't get back into it until a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I mean, well,
so
to
Coco,
explain how much I knew about it at the time, I had to look at what GOP meant. I was like, what is this GOP everybody keeps talking about? So like I didn't know anything.
Wow.
Well, see, that's the thing. I didn't really care. I was kind of in it until I was about 40 years old, 45. That's how terrible this is. And by the way, I'm older, obviously. But Coco, you've seemed like you've been absorbed in politics for a long time.
I don't know if it's really politics per se. I'm 40 years old, and
what?
What? I thought you were like in your 20s.
Yeah,
like,
I thought you was like
no smoking, no drinking, healthy diet, good genetics. There you go.
Damn.
Nobody believes I'm my age. My mother is 76, and she looks like she's 55. So it's just kind of my thing.
Holy crap! I mean,
I'm green smoothies every
very
day.
shocked and surprised.
Spinach every day. Yeah. Nice. Anyway, when I was about 11 years old, I read a book that changed my life called Diet for a New America. John Robbins, I believe his name is John. Robbins is definitely his last name. It was actually, it's funny, my screen name on my Mac here is Coco Van Bunsen. That's the name of my pet rabbit. And she, very special to me, but it was a rabbit that got me woke up. I saw a picture of a rabbit that had been chemical tested on and had the burns on the skin and the eyes. I was 11 years old. And that just got me. I said, what in the world? Why would anyone do this? And I was always an animal lover, so it just turned me on. And so before you knew it, I read this book. Diet for a New America is written by a guy who was the son of the Baskin-Robbins family.
Oh, wow.
He grew up eating ice cream all the time. And as a kid, it's like, oh, that's great. There's ice cream everywhere all the time. But then as his family got older and they all started dying of obesity and heart problems and, having all these issues.
Not from ice cream.
Well, poor diet. If someone's eating a lot of ice cream,
I'm
a whole
kidding.
lot of other things that probably aren't too good for them. It's a symptom of the whole. So anyway, no, he became a vegan. And he wrote this book all about animal agriculture and the effect that it has on our bodies, on the animals, and on the planet.
Oh, wow.
And if you watch, there's a good documentary. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, called Cowspiracy. That's probably one of the best ones I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's all about how
alarming.
animal agriculture is the thing that actually puts more pollution into our planet than anything else. Than all three combined. Scary.
Redacted Tonight has had some good coverage on that.
But they will not cover it. And people have people have been killed over this issue. So anyway, I would say that really was it. That was my big trigger, and I never changed. I was a woke-up little 11, 12-year-old writing protest letters and boycotting companies and letting them know I was doing it, and letter writing campaigns and driving people crazy in my family down in the South. If you're talking against their fried chicken, you're in trouble. You better believe it. And so, no, I had many meatless Thanksgivings and all that kind of stuff. I'm no longer a pure vegan, but I would say that I do eat vegetarian still quite a bit, and I'm very picky about where I get my meat if I have it. And yeah, so that's what started me on a lifelong thing. I think I really didn't get into the political scene deeply, really until the horror of George W. Bush. That's honestly what really, I think, woke a lot of people up. It was just, he was so over the top bad that I think it did that to a lot of people. And that's what kind of got me into it a little bit more. But that was my trigger, as Erik would say.
Trigger!
That rabbit burns on his skin because I couldn't understand why anybody would do that. As an 11-year-old brain, it was like, why would anyone do something like that? And one of my favorite quotes from Gandhi is, you can tell the way a society runs by the way it treats its animals. We treat animals like a consumer product. They're a commodity. So what does that say about our American society?
Same thing.
Yeah. We're nothing but a commodity. We're nothing but a product or a means to an end. And that's really it.
That's pretty much it. So
keep drinking your greens and you'll be like me. You won't have any wrinkles at 40.
The sad thing about me, and I just got back from my Taekwondo Muay Thai class at the UFC gym, so I think I'm in really good health. But that I have eaten terribly since day one. I eat terribly. I've smoked. I'm not going to get into the mountains of things that I've done bad, but I shouldn't be here tomorrow. That's how bad I am. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm here the next few times when I come back on, it's a blessing. I'll just say that. But what it really comes down to, I think, for all of us, is wow, how scary is this going to be? I mean, for my kids.
Yeah.
And I know you don't eat Coco. You don't even have kids. Do you have kids, Red?
Oh, I've had two.
You had two. So, do you mind me asking how old they are?
4 and 7.
Yeah, so I'm saying when they're 18 and 20, how it's going to be rough. It might be rough. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like it was for me when I was 18, 19 years old. Food was everywhere. There was nothing. It was it was like the 80s, right?
Trying to find substantial food. Like I go to the store and I'm trying to find something that doesn't have like sugar and bacon and just all these I can't even pronounce the names. Can I just have something that isn't pumped full of dye and fat? Like just something just you took it out of the ground and you put it in a package and then you put it on the shelf. Like that's what I want. Like why is that so hard? But you
want something that has not have an ingredient list. The more food that you eat that doesn't have an ingredient list, the better.
True.
That's true. That's a good, perfect. I don't even do
I
that.
made a beet soup tonight, and nothing from a package. I mean, it was a beet and a tomato and a celery stalk and cilantro and ginger root and garlic. Put it all together, make a soup.
And then there you are, reversing time in front of us. That's great.
Wah. With
So-
sound effects.
So we understand how important it is. Where did Eben go? Where did Kim go?
I don't know.
Emo?
His,
I don't know.
sound is muted.
He probably, if somebody just
Baby
leaves,
duties.
Baby.
yeah, maybe he has some personal duties to take care of.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so
Understandable.
we really, oh God, I feel so responsible for, especially me in my era and my age. For me, partying in Bel Air and Hollywood and doing all kinds of crap and going to the Surf City, Huntington Beach, and going to these kegger parties all the time, and just totally disregarding my responsibilities as a voting piece of the republic for like 20 or 30 years. I feel totally responsible for the crap that we're all dealing with now. And everybody my age, if you're 45, if you're 40 to 60, I think you should feel totally responsible for what you've just handed over to your grandkids and to I feel terrible because the food's not going to be that good. She has to go in there and just dig somewhere to find something that has substance and that's pure. And this stuff because Coco, because you lived it for a long time, so you know where to go and all that stuff. But what I'm really saying is I feel so terrible. I just feel terrible. I feel guilty. I feel bad.
I think that the thing is, any guilt or any sort of personal responsibility that you feel, it's like it's not a good use of energy to spend a lot of time in regret. It's better just to start with where you are right now and do what you can from here. That's always the way it is. Because if you spend a lot of energy and time in regret, you're going to waste the good things that you could be doing right now.
Exactly. I mean, I was in that same position before. I mean, I can relate to that.
We all contribute. We are all hypocrites to a degree. Let's face it. We still all get around in cars even though we hate them. We're part of it. We throw plastic trash away that we don't want to throw away. We are part of the system whether we like it or not. And even if you resist a lot, which I do, I mean, I recycle everything, I compost everything, I throw very, very little away, but still, it's still something and it adds up. So, we all have a stake in this mess, It's not an ouch contest or a beat up contest about who did more of what. It's really about if you wake up, if you see the light and you keep living the old way, then that's no good. But if you wake up and see a light and you say, well, now I'm going to do better, I'm going to do different. I hate to say this because it's an Oprah saying, but the whole, when you know better, you do better. And that's really the way we should be.
I agree.
So Red was going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say, how many millions of people are out there? I mean, like, I just, woke up a couple of years ago and, a lot of people are in the same boat. So, I mean, like, once you share that with everybody else, like, it's just like little tiny bits. So don't beat yourself up so much. Like, we all got to share it. We all got to share it.
So, yeah, we're sharing the responsibility. So, can we get a donate button for Red to get her a headset or something?
Yeah.
It is the cutest thing to watch her do that, and it's so awesome that she's actually on her phone listening to us.
It's a lot of dedication.
I'm really trying to be as entertaining as possible. I know Eric's awesome. When Erik chimes in, he's got some great stuff. And
Triggered!
Yeah, triggers! Just
More!
I have ordered a web camera, so I will be able to see me.
Yeah.
Actually.
Troxney? How should we say that? I'm sorry.
It's Troxney. It's fine.
Okay, so Troxy, we're gonna see how good looking this guy is. You guys might want to put some, some blinders on because it's going to be so fantastic, I'm sure. But it's just so cool that Redneck is on her phone listening to this. I just think that it means a lot. And last night when I was on there for the first time, and then I got off, it was therapeutic. Oh my God, I slept like a brick last night.
Like a relief.
I got it all out. I had some people listen. I got some feedback. I actually posted this on my Facebook, which I have, like I said, some close to 5,000 quote unquote friends. But hopefully some of them chime in and listen. If we go on to the live chat, some people are jumping in. There are a few people that are in there. Yeah. Some are us or who. Maybe we should acknowledge them. Is that what we should do? I mean, that would be nice.
No.
No, we shouldn't.
Just ignore them.
No, why?
No, I try to look earlier. But I get too distracted. I have like ADHD, and so like I try to focus on what y'all are saying. So I try to.
All right, well, I'll try to do that because I think it's cool that these people are coming in and listening to us babble.
And you know what? If you look, they'll sometimes they have like separate conversations, and it's just so like I don't know. There's some smart people that hang out in here.
Oh yeah. I'm very impressed by everyone that I've met through Tim Black's group. It's really fabulous. I mean, it's so cool that we're able to do this.
It's really amazing. I love it. I mean, I was nervous on Monday, but now I'm like, yesterday I was like so calm and cool, and now like today I'm like totally calm and cool.
Wait a second. He's only done this for a couple of days. It's like he's lived here for years. He's so nonchalant and kicked back. I'm super nervous.
Oh, not at all. Not at all for me.
Oh, Coco, this is your element, girl. This is your element, girl.
Born performer.
Yeah, definitely.
Talker. Put me in front of someone, I'll say something.
I love comedy, though.
Yes.
We put the light on. That's why I think a lot of us watch Redneck. Do you watch Jimmy Dore at all?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You're following H.A. Goodman? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Huge H.A. follower.
Yeah, obviously you got his book. That's awesome. All these here. What's really just astonishing to me is we've got Tim Black, we've got Niko, we've got. I like this. I don't know. You guys know the same progressive, Debbie?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love her.
She's freaking. You know what's interesting is I'm watching her and I'm going same progressive, and if there was like a bar or a level or like a altimeter or whatever, she gets past the sane part a little too much. You know what I'm saying? She gets so enraged. Yeah, I can actually see fire coming from that lady's body just at some of the times that she's speaking. But she has good right to do so.
I wish I knew what her birth sign was. I know Tim is a Leo. I'm a Capricorn. What is
Gemini?
Oh yes, because you just said your birthday. Red, what is Libra? The balance.
Oh God, I'm sorry. I'll say it, but I'm not. The universe has changed. Things are different now.
No. They're still the same.
But I'm an Aries.
Oh, there's another fiery one for you.
Uh-oh.
Fishes, I think.
What are you? What are you, Troxy?
Fishes.
Spicy Pisces.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
It sucks. I know that.
It's interesting that I mean, I get into this in my astrology classes, and sometimes I have a hard time keeping it from turning into a political discussion or a social subject discussion because it does come up. The thing about like the periods of time right now, right? Pluto is in Capricorn. And the last time that Pluto was in Capricorn, because it's a slow-moving planet, it was in the 1700s during the French and American revolutions, okay? So we're back in that energy. And the time before that, it was in the 1500s during Elizabeth I era. So really big, huge things because Pluto rules Scorpio, and that's all about transformation and secrets, mysteries, stuff coming out, right? So you combine that with Capricorn, and Capricorn is big business, big financial institutions, traditions, things that seem like they will never, ever, ever change. And as soon as we got Pluto going into Capricorn, we got the banks going on. We got all this stuff being revealed. And so I'm telling you, we're in a planetary period, a pattern of energy that it really started around 2006, 2007. And we're over halfway through that transit. And so when we get to Pluto in Aquarius in the next 5 years or so, oh boy, because that's the power of the people. Aquarius is the revolutionary sign. It is. It's the radical change and, overturning unfair regimes and all of that. Neptune is in Pisces right now, which is its natural spot and has not been there since the days of the Pony Express, literally. So we really are in a time when it's all about compassion. It's all about having sensitivity and reaching out and not judging people so harshly. And so for you, with that Aries energy, see, Aries is dealing with a lot. I guarantee the last 4 or 5 years for you has been woo all the time change, unexpected change, big windfall falls, big challenges, lots of up and down. Because Uranus has been in Aries for about 6 years now, and that is the Aquarius ruling planet. So that is very electrical, big changes, big social issues. And that's why I have a lot of clients that will come to me and they're literally having what I call, it's like a midlife crisis or like a career crisis where they finally are going, I've worked this job my whole life and I hate it. And what in the world am I going to do now? It's like they're finally waking up and they can't take it anymore because Aries is all about the identity and it's about being true to yourself. So we're in a position now where everybody I think is either awake, about to be awake, or half awake. They're all getting there at their own pace. And so we're going to see a lot of that. A lot of people are already there or are about to be there where they're kind of saying, oh, what in the world have I been doing with my life? And now I've got to change everything. And the less honest you've been living, the harder that will be. If you've been living a really honest life and you've been listening to your inner voice and not ignoring it, you'll do better. But if you have been really, really asleep or really in, denial about something, it'll punch pretty hard. And so, yeah, it all lines up. Whether you believe in this stuff or not, it's there's some big stuff.
I'm always optimistic because honestly, anyone can change. It just takes a lot. It does take time.
Yes. Or sometimes the right trigger.
Triggered! Ooh, I'm so triggered! I like doing that. It's like I came up with that just right on the spot one day, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go with it.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it to, by myself. Ooh, I'm so triggered!
Yeah.
I'm actually glad it's like, it comes in handy with humor. Maybe I should do stand-up comedy and just do triggered.
America's Got Talent. America's Got Talent for
sure. If
sure.
you're playing to a room of TYT viewers, they'd understand exactly what you were talking about.
Triggered! Ooh, I'm so triggered.
Okay, so besides the planets being aligned and
they're always doing something, but
that's amazing because life has been. No, I can't say that. My whole freaking life has been a challenge.
Yeah.
But that's from no fault of my own. There's a lot of things I've made. I'm not going to get into all that, but I thank you for that. Is the palm reading sign, neon sign on in the front of your place right now?
I don't do palmistry.
Oh gosh, because I didn't know that the open or sign was on. But anyway, that was awesome. You're very astute when it comes to that.
I've done it a long time, and being a Capricorn, I tend to be a natural skeptic, and I'm really not into the whole blowing smoke up people's butts. So I like to, tell it how I see it. And so that's why it's like, I'm not one of these people that, everything has to be based on astrology or any certain thing, but there are definitely some things in it that if you look at historical patterns, we're back in some of the big ones right now.
There's some correlation. So remember have you guys seen the movie? I know you've seen it. I know it. The Day the Earth Stood Still, not the first one, but the one with the crappy acting by Keanu Reeves.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but
that actually was on not that long ago.
Yeah. It's on all the time on FX or something. But the greatest thing about that movie is the guy from Monty Python. The name will come to me in a second. Come on.
Okay.
I know somebody knows his name.
Was it Cleese?
Cleese?
Yeah, John Cleese.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says when the alien.
Sorry.
No worries. So Keanu Reeves comes up and he's starting to do these equations and he's figuring it out. And then they have the little talk and then John Cleese says, we're at the what is it? What the frick was the word? It's the
Precipice.
Precipice. Sorry, god damn it! I hate that. See, this is what Hollywood and Bel Air did to me. I'm just telling you right now. So,
Well, this is what Hollywood did to me.
oh yeah, okay.
I wouldn't have known any English without Hollywood. I'm kidding.
Well, so John Cleese says we're at the precipice of life. So I think in what you're saying, Coco, is I do believe that we have to make a serious shift in a unified way to save our food, to save our soil, to save our water, to save our planet, to save all the inhabitants. I think we're at that point. There couldn't be. I mean, you've heard End of Times and Four Horsemen,
Sure,
ever and ever and ever and ever. And I think astrology has been weird and crazy many times over.
True.
But not crazy, but different and changed, of course.
Yeah.
But what I'm really saying is, it's very serious right now. It is.
I understand that.
I think everybody can agree with that.
That is the thing to me too about the whole Pluto and Capricorn deal, is that it is very much it's an age of, I call it an age of consequences in a way. We're in a period of accountability where it's like if you've made a mess you have to clean it up. And so and it's very important because again this is an earth sign and it's a very serious one. It has ramifications. It's like you do the crime, you do the time. And so it does deal with earth changes.
What?
Climate changes, planetary changes. Solid as a rock, things that we thought would never shift are shifting. They're changing. And so there's a lot of things that have to change. We have to let go of a lot of old ideas that don't work anymore. And that has to happen on a large scale. So whether you believe in that or not, the message is essentially true. We're seeing it. We're seeing it every day. So yeah.
If we don't care
for the rock bottom, when you just up until recently, my main focus has been healthcare because I thought I was going to be a nurse, and up until the primaries happened.
It wasn't meant for the boobs,
so
though.
That's how I always think of things, and it's just right now, we go to the doctor and we're like, hey, things feel pretty bad right now. How bad is it? And they do the test, and they're like, oh yeah, if you don't start eating right, you have diabetes, and we're gonna have to start, amputating things if you don't, take care of yourself. And so it's you have to make drastic changes right now. These things have to be done, or it's death.
Well, the thing is, people always want to think that they've got another 5 years or another 10 years, but we're getting to that point where the time is up. Talking about like what you said about eating right and food and, the accountability of that. I mean, my dad's sister, my aunt, her whole life, every time I'd go over to her house, I would just see stacks and stacks of full sugar sodas, white bread, hot dogs, fake cheese, the whole thing. And it's and they showed it. I mean, they were heavy. She had type 2 diabetes from a poor diet. But the cool thing is, and talk about hope and hope for change, she kind of woke up to all that recently. And she started eating better, changed her whole diet. And now she has been able to reverse most of that disease because you can reverse type 2 diabetes with proper diet.
Right.
What
There's
my
always
grandma
those
did.
that
She
help,
had
but you have to
diabetes.
embrace it.
Yeah, she had diabetes, and she was in pretty bad shape. I mean, she was like several 100 pounds overweight, and then her high school sweetheart called her up and said, "I can't live another day without you." Like,
Oh,
Wow.
and she said, "Okay, well, I'm going to start eating right, and because I've got like a reason like to care again." And so they ended up getting married, and she lost I think it was like 200 pounds, and her diabetes went away. I mean, she was doing pretty good. She's been pretty good there for a while.
yeah.
I know I just lost 150 pounds.
Holy shit.
Wow.
The primaries.
Woo!
But that's what like I've been thinking about a lot about it lately, because it's just like I've always been a fat kid, like always, and it's just
Believe it.
but
Wouldn't believe
so it was like
you.
this thing
You
I
look
just
gorgeous.
never saw it as like, well, I could be healthy or I could be a healthy weight. So, and I've been thinking a lot about that, like with the politics. It's just like people don't even know what they. It's like, oh, change. Like, is that even possible? Like, it's not a tangible thing for most people.
Yeah.
Because with me, I always looked out what I actually truly ate, because I actually look up the ingredients and what they do and actually what they truly do. I will say this: I only eat like very, very little bit of the bad stuff, here and there. But that's just rare. It's like not
Once
it's
in a
not
while.
common,
Yeah.
because I know it can get out of my system really fast.
Yeah.
I just
And I
eat
know-
toxic
and I know
garbage
the
like
other
all the
thing-
time.
Sorry, I interrupted. Go
Oh,
on.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention that I know Erik had mentioned doing some like emotional therapy, and I have had chronic depression my whole life, which most
What?
people also wouldn't believe but I've done a lot of work on it, and I really have gone to therapy and counseling, and I've done medication at different times, and so. Yeah, it's something that you have to really stay on top of. But that's another part of it too. And like this lady, that it's like her life changed because she had an emotional experience. Our emotions and our bodies are so tied together. There's a connection, huge. One thing leads to another.
Well, and then on top of that is like you're like super smart, and so like, and you think about all these things. I mean, how old were you when you read that book? You say you were 11 or 12.
11.
What 11 or 12-year-old is reading a book like that? So yeah, you're gonna be. I mean, like, you're aware, so you're gonna be. People like that tend to succumb to depression every once in a while.
I was older than my years. It's a very typical Capricorn trait. We're old when we're young and young when we're old. We reverse age. And so when we're little kids, we're like super serious. Everything's serious. So yeah. It was very typical that way.
Well,
Hey, Button! We've got him back.
Yeah.
It's Benjamin Brad. What was the guy? The story
Benjamin
of
Button.
Button. Yeah, she. Coco's going backwards.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll see her in diapers pretty soon.
My birdies keep me young.
Hey, I got a quick question. Kim, you don't have to tell us where you went, but I got a quick question for Red. There's a pyramid on a eraser board behind her.
Oh,
yeah, I see it.
Is that? It doesn't seem like it's very personal, or you're trying to keep it a secret. But
she's part of the Illuminati.
I was gonna say
secret Illuminati plan.
Yeah.
It's the food pyramid.
She has to go do her sacrificial stuff pretty soon. What is that? You don't mind us
Well, it
asking?
was something that Jamal was talking about, and it was so weird because it was last night after we got done talking. I started looking up like what are the basic human needs, and I found this. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and basically it's just like all the stuff that people need to be a healthy, functioning human being. And at the bottom of it, I don't know how well you can read it.
We can't
But
just
it's
read
like
it to us.
physiological. Then it has like
Yeah, read
food,
it.
water. So and it's got all the different ones like that people need. So and I was looking at it and just like thinking about the ways that like the government and the corporation attack this pyramid to to get us to do what they want, basically.
This is marketing. Uh, that is super fantastically cool that you're so absorbed in finding this knowledge and trying to. It's just look at that. She made and I just looked it up. I'm pretty quick on that. If you guys need any answers on the computer, let me know. I type like 60 words a minute. so I just looked it up and it's called the Maslow M as in Mary, A S as in Sam, LOW hierarchy. And this is what our own government and the media attacks us. They go after our esteem, our love, our belongings, our safety. They do everything to instill fear in us and direct us where they need us to go. And I'm telling you, and this is why the other night this kind of clicked with me, and you guys were kind of getting into it. The manipulation part is I do marketing. I also do sales, so I understand that. For example, contrasting colors. When you go and sit down at a steakhouse, they're more soothing. They're matching, like clothes should be. When you go to McDonald's, they use abstract colors because they want you to get in and out. It's all. Right. Oh, yeah. It all comes at you. So the thing is there's people that they all. It's the manipulation is everywhere. We are able. What's amazing with this group, and there's so many like us that listen to AJ, Tim Black, Jimmy Dore, Debbie, Same Progressive, all these wonderful people that are bringing out some really good information. We break through this gigantic Godzilla, Rodan, super galactic monster of marketing that comes from the media.
Yeah.
And we just peek through and we're finding the truth. Mm-hmm. And I don't care how they want to spend what they spend, but everything that these people have brought to our attention has been pretty factual. I mean, and they don't say what's great about them is there's some opinionated stuff. There's assumptions, there are perspectives. I understand that. But when it comes to the facts, boom, they'll lay it out. And I think we're the same way. I mean, if you guys had a fact, if Coco, if you had a fact, Kim, if you had a fact, Erik, if you had a fact, Red, if you had a fact, Troxney, if you had a fact, I would believe you. I just trust you guys. And I've only known you for like an hour and 45 minutes. Anyway, I think that's kind of what we're dealing with, you know. And,
well, I think part of our goal, I guess, in independent media is we tell you something, we show you how we found it, and then we want you to research yourself.
Yeah.
Because
perfect. Yes, thank you.
It's not about forcing an opinion on somebody. It's really just about presenting, the truth to the best of your ability, and then helping people pick it up.
Yeah, the links. I love the fact that when they say things, or even when I'm, all right, I don't know if anybody's ever done this, but have you ever posted something without reading the article?
Just Facebook? Going based off the headline or something.
It's going off the headline. I get called out on this all the time.
Pretty bad about that.
Yeah, it's bad for me because I've done it I do it once every 10 posts, and then somebody will go, "Jim, that's totally the opposite of what you're talking about." I go, "Oh, crap." but the thing is that's the great thing about social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and blogs out there, and people will provide those links to get to that information. Mm-hmm. And it's good that Kim provides that stuff. I try to provide that stuff. I know that the people that we watch and listen to provide that stuff. And still, I am just totally enamored that Red made a Maslow pyramid. That
Yeah.
is so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a visual thinker. Like I have to see it in order for it to kind of click.
Mhm.
But like if you look at the pyramid, and then what I found interesting is like the first thing that I kind of got into was the power abuse wheel, and so it has all these ways of abusers will use power against their victims, and it goes right with this pyramid. They attack you financially, emotionally, they tear you down, and that's exactly what these politicians and corporations do.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. How it just
It's
goes
in,
hand in hand.
it's intentional, right, Kim? Eben. Is it? Should I say Eben or should I say Kim? I don't.
Whatever
your
is
first-
most comfortable for you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I know it's
I'll
me
just-
when you're trying.
I'll
So
just call you Kim. I'm sorry.
that's all right.
So Kim.
I'm
So
really Ariel, but I've got my bunny's name up on the screen.
yeah, you're Coco for now. I'm sorry about that.
All right, I'm good with that.
So what's interesting is she's researching this to the point to where she fully understands how she's being manipulated.
Wow.
And we all are being, who has a name brand on them right now? They're wearing a name brand piece of clothing, or behind them, or somewhere. Anybody got Nike shoes?
No, I've got a pair of Gap shoes from about 10 years ago.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, a lot of people are buying these things. Where marketing's everywhere. You can't get past it. You're branded. It's impressions. Do you guys know what impressions is? Who knows what impressions?
There you go. I got that.
There you go. Boop. Done. Okay, so impressions are what a marketing company will want you to see all the time. They don't care. They don't care what it's about. They just want you to see that logo over and over and over and over and over again. That's what happened with Trump. They understood what putting him in front of the screen over and over and over and over and over. And of course, you guys remember.
They're still doing it. This is what I got in the mail. So they're still doing it.
Oh my God!
Party of Georgia. Here it is.
Everything okay?
Haven't stopped.
Yep. Sorry. He just kind of.
Uh-oh.
I got my book. I was going to show you. Since we're talking about corporations and uprisings, I don't know if you can see.
That's a little too far-fetched in a lot of ways.
That is freaking awesome.
I recommend.
I haven't read it yet, but
Dimitri
it might come in handy. In case Hillary runs again.
What was it? I missed it.
You got to see. Could you show it again?
Survive
And
a
hold it
robot
still?
uprising.
No, can you show it again and hold the book up?
Yeah.
That is so freaking awesome. How to survive a robot uprising.
Wow.
Oh,
I
on the
love
back
that.
it says, how do you
That
spot a
is
robot mimicking a human?
That is so epic.
It's just like these politicians.
But do you guys feel like commercials are effective? I mean, whenever I watch one, I just feel like I lose some IQ points. Just doesn't do anything else.
Oh no, you're.
I don't even know what they were advertising.
Yeah, whether you think it or not,
True.
Chuck, you're getting impressions. No, it's not. They target people though. They target a demographic, and they target ages, and they target a minority, or they target a race. You probably won't know when you're being targeted. I'm sorry. I mean,
So
it's like people.
Yeah.
It's like people that get hypnotized.
Wow.
They don't know they're getting hypnotized.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah, I just feel like I learn new brands and products, but
I think you're smarter
that's
than
all.
that. I can already tell.
When it comes to well, I already know if I like something or don't. So some commercials just piss me off. It
I
has
know.
opposite effect. But no, it's the same with Donald Trump, and he pissed off people, and see where he is now. So I guess it's effective.
Wow.
And you gotta think, like, when people were younger, like when they were kids, they were watching him on, like WWE, and then as they got older, they were watching him on, like The Apprentice. So he's been like a staple in people's lives to where he probably does feel pretty familiar. And before the race, nobody ever sat around and was like, oh yeah, he's a menace to society and he's a racist. Nobody ever said that before the primaries. It's just all of a sudden, I'm not saying that he isn't like a horrible racist, but it's just now all of a sudden.
I feel like the mainstream media and advertisements are pretty much very similar, at least commercials, because a commercial or marketing is trying to sell you, get you to buy something that you don't really need. It makes you want it for some reason. And the same thing with mainstream media, they're trying to tell you news or information that you don't really need, but they think that you want it. Like, for example, the stuff that like resists Trump, they make it so that you want to resist Trump, whatever, or that you want Russia to stop interfering with our elections or things like that. And it's not necessarily something that you need, because that's totally irrelevant to our entire things that we actually need as people in this country, and how it affects everyone else in the world. The information to provide to people is easy. You don't need to dress it up, make it look fancy. It's just what it is. So
I liked what the Broken Carpenter was saying. It was a call in that he did to Tim, and I loved what he said about people don't get to be bored anymore, and that we need to unplug from things. And that's a part of it. I feel like a lot of this junk on television is just filling empty space. That's all it's doing. It's just noise. It's not substance. It's just noise. Most of it,
Yeah.
That's why I sleep with my TV on.
Put you to sleep.
But while we're talking products, here's my advertisement for the Global Healing Center. This is Detoxidine. It's a nascent iodine, and I take about 4 or 5 drops of this every day. And most people are very deficient in iodine, and especially women. It's probably even worse for women than men. But what we have in our diet, and not in our diet anymore, we really miss this one. And this stuff is fabulous. It helps fatigue. It helps your thyroid function well. Helps your endocrine system, and it protects your system from several different kinds of radiation. So it's actually really important.
Cool.
Can't state the value of this enough. I also take their selenium together with that, and also their B12. So I take those 3 together for thyroid support. I may bring that up again tomorrow during the health thing, the food talk, because that's something we don't have it in our food anymore. They've made sure of that. I mean, the GMO'd wheat is, we used to have iodine and things like that in our diet.
Yeah, they have to put it in salt, so we have iodized salt.
Iodide. It's not iodine. It's a different deal. Yeah,
oh, really? Oh, I didn't even know that.
Not the same. And it's especially now, I mean, if you think about, especially on the West Coast from the Fukushima effect, it's way more radiated now on the West Coast than it was before that. If you look at there's maps where it shows the travel, of the radiation outward, and where it concentrates. And so, yeah, the vegetables, the dairy, everything that's coming out of the farms along the West Coast is higher in radiation now than it was. So it's always good to take the iodine, take things that help your body defend itself against that.
I thought the California strawberries tasted a little radioactive.
I don't know if you taste it unless they're glowing in the dark.
Hey, that would be a fad. They'll probably market that soon.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, glow in the dark food.
Marie Curie, she carried what was it? I can't remember what it was, but it was a piece of a radioactive substance in her pocket. She liked it because it glowed. She had no idea it was killing her. And when she was buried, they had to like encase her in a really heavy duty casket because she was so radioactive. If they had put her in the ground normally, it would have just poisoned the ground. Yeah.
It'll probably be one of the most top trending thing on Twitter if that ever happened. Like, okay, another celebrity death. I mean, yeah, I feel bad for the loss, but it's trending.
Oh boy. As long as it's trending, then it's all right.
What I liked, I haven't found them recently or looked for it, but they have these Twitter accounts where they have famous names and they not rewrite, but go through history of what people said and what they did on the exact time and day, but in like 200 years ago or 300 years ago.
Yeah.
I always thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that part takes a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm.
So you brought up Fukushima, damn it.
Damn it.
Okay, so I'm Hawaiian Chinese, and my father lived in Hawaii, and I went to high school in Hawaii, and I love Hawaii. Hawaii is like I live here in California because this is my home.
Yeah.
But my heart is in Hawaii for sure.
Wow.
I feel like I've lost my only love. It's over there. It's really bad. But here's the problem with the Hawaiians, and if you ever want to call a Hawaiian a dirty name, which you don't, it's called Blala.
Huh.
Blahlah. Well, wait, Blahlah. Blala. And that means they're being lazy and stupid and ignorant. So, and I think, and I've said this on many different sites in regards to Fukushima, is I think over on Hawaii and Facebook and Twitter, I've tried to plaster a lot of different, the Honolulu Advertiser, which is their major newspaper, some of the big blogs for the city and lots of different clubs and stuff like that have a lot of exposure. I've posted a lot of YouTube Fukushima, and I said, you guys have got to start something, because this giant Godzilla-like creature is growing in the Pacific, and it's not getting any better. And it's circling up and around because of the currents going up Siberia, around towards Alaska, down through Canada, and coming down in the ocean current, swirling around, and now it's hitting us. And like you're saying, it's the cesium-132 or the rads that people are able to detect are getting higher, not by a giant margin, but it's gradually getting worse. So and they've had mutations. Their fish are dying. They've got just whales just ending up on the beach. I mean, like I said, don't get me started. But my biggest issue is that Hawaii is silent, and that's like the most important aspect of the Hawaiian Islands is the ocean.
Yeah.
Those rocks out there are nothing. Who has anybody here been to Hawaii? Anybody?
I loved it.
I've never been. Gosh, I wish I could have.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll all have to plan a trip. I'll take you guys around, show you how to party like Hawaiian style. It'll be awesome. Okay, but here's the biggest thing is they just recently had a huge fight on the island of Kauai, and I think in Outer, against Monsanto.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about that. They actually won the Monsanto fight to label or to let them know what they're doing out there. I'm not sure the extent of what their victory was. I don't remember the whole thing, but it was a victory in itself, and they all fought for that. But if they need to fight for anything right now, they really need to fight to find out, and this is the biggest thing. They need to find out from an unbiased source to find out what is really happening out there and what are the effects going to be and how can this be fixed. Because it needs billions of, it doesn't need $1 million, it doesn't need $1 billion, it needs $1 trillion. It needs $1 trillion right now, some giant crane to come in that's as big as a stadium, a football stadium, and scoop up these crappy reactors that are burning through the ground
Yeah.
and polluting the water and just fly them up to the moon. That's what really needs to happen.
They wouldn't do that because then they would just put everyone's attention on how bad nuclear waste and nuclear power plants can be.
Bingo. That's why there's no attention, because there's like 2,600. There's over 2,000 nuclear plants across the planet that are, I think, active, and let's just say there's a giant shift in the plates, and a lot of these things break down. We're done. That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
Nuclear's got to be the worst form of power, the most dangerous form of power, besides oil and coal, because it's an immediate killer. It's like an immediate killer.
Well, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. That's the trouble. One of my favorite people, and you may have heard her speak before, Helen Caldicott. She's a woman, I believe she's in her 80s, at least in the late 70s, early 80s. She's from Australia, and she will talk physics forever about, all the effects of different kinds of radiation. She's extremely intelligent, and she really knows her stuff. I highly recommend looking her up. If anyone wants to get a link from me or to some of her lectures, they're kind of invaluable, but she talks all about the effects of radiation and how a big problem with it is that there's not that smoking gun. How do somebody that's exposed to that 10, 20 years later, they get cancer, and they can say, well, we don't know it was the radiation because it took a while. That's the thing. It depends on how much you're exposed to, how quickly, and what type. And sometimes you'll see very, very quick results. I mean, it can kill you if you're close enough to it. But most of the time, people, it's just a slow burn, it's a slow reaction. And so that's what keeps it from being, somebody making that direct connection and really saying, yeah, this is what caused it. It's sort of like somebody smoking for 40 years, but even that's easier to prove. Well, you smoked for 40 years, of course you got cancer. But, with radiation, it's invisible. You can't taste it. You can't feel it, but it's there. And so what can you do? You can't prove it to somebody in a court, so what are they going to say? But I think things are changing, and people are becoming more aware of it. But what you're talking about, too, of course, I think about this in great detail, and there's Guy McPherson is another one who I absolutely love for his discussions on the environment and energy and all of that. And it's something that he says, and that James Howard Kunstler says, is that people have this idea that because they've got smartphones that everything's going to be okay, because they say, well, we've got technology, but technology doesn't translate to energy. And that's the thing. Just because we got technology, that doesn't mean it's going to make more energy for us. When we say we've got all these troubles, they go, well, we got technology. It's like, well, good for you. That's not going to create more energy.
Snork Y2K, are you on here?
What's that?
I can't hear you if you're saying anything.
Oh, we can hear you, I think.
I can hear her.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm getting echoes.
I can't hear Snork. They just joined in.
Okay.
I saw in the chat.
There we go. Am I on?
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, echoes. Do I have a sound issue here to kill?
No, you're good now.
You're good, man.
I'm a manufacturing engineer.
Okay.
Keep going.
I have echoes here now.
I see you in the chat.
Do you have the sound on your computer?
I can hear myself talking. Just a second. Let me clear.
Oh, you're on YouTube?
He's made reactors. So here we go. We got an expert.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Time to get educated.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing how little I know about nuclear reactors. Like, I know Fukushima, it's bad. There's radiation happening. and that's about the extent of it.
And that's a failure of mainstream media.
Yeah. They should be telling us and educating about this every day, but they don't. They don't want pandemonium on their hands, that's why.
Actually, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Go ahead,
we-
please.
Crystal clear.
See if I can get my other stuff online here. When under the Manhattan Project,
Yes. There we go.
even engineers, most engineers even have a poor understanding of radiation and nuclear issues. But when under the Manhattan Project, when they originally discovered americium, which is a byproduct of making plutonium, and another one called curium, americium is about 100 times more radioactive than plutonium, and curium is to americium what americium is to plutonium. Also, to make a small nuclear reactor for the space shuttle, they needed something that was more radioactive. When they sent the space shuttle up, the one that blew up over Texas, the object that they were so worried about was the americium reactor. They were worried that it might have survived almost intact. And so it's extremely dense power. But back in the 40s, 50s, they didn't know how to control it well enough to use it for a bomb. So they stuck with just plutonium and uranium. But all the transuranics, there isn't just one uranium. There isn't just one plutonium. There's like 250 flavors of uranium, and even discussions of things like isotopes. We were thinking isotopes, and we learned about isotopes in when we were talking about the more advanced physics in school. We didn't talk about metastates. That's something that they've only started talking about just recently. And there's all of these states and things that the radioactive lump that's in Fukushima is going through, that most of the general public and not even engineers have an understanding of how to control. One of the problems is that there are decay chains. Nuclear waste is like a pinball game. Sometimes it's a 18th of a second, sometimes it's thousands or millions of years before a decay sequence happens. But when it does, you don't know if it's going to go to a smaller element or a larger element. It can also be hit by different particles coming from neighboring atoms. And that's why a nuclear reactor it's a concentration to increase the probability of having a reaction. So what's happening in Fukushima is they've all of this material that is meant to be kept at a distance from each other. And in a nuclear reactor, you bring just enough together, close enough to cause a reaction, and you have to control it by putting in different materials in between it. We used, I did design a nuclear fuel that used zirconium to separate the different types of I'm a manufacturing engineer. They needed a way to get it done, a way to make this shape out of a material that when you hit it doesn't like squeeze, it only moves in square little steps. So we came up with a way to get around that. But back to the issue is in Fukushima, since it's melted, you no longer have control of keeping the individual pieces of material away from each other. So uranium and plutonium aren't the only two things that fission. And you can pick up a book of about 20,000 pages, all the different ways that the things can participate. Right now, they need to quench it. And it is a corporate problem at the time because the official government stance of Japan, is that if you smile and wear long sleeves, the radiation will not harm you. And they say that they're more experts on the United States than the U.S. is because they've had a bomb dropped on them and they've survived. The level of this explosion or this accident is so bad that basically I feel that the only thing they can do is to put bismuth on it. Bismuth is one of the few things that kills a reaction. Doesn't stop the fission, but it's a extremely dense, let's think of it as a shade that gets poured into the glass to make sunglasses. So you want to pour it in and you want to mix it up with the fuel. The problem is that afterwards, we're going to be left with about 1,000, no, that's not right, about 1 million tons of bismuth that's radioactive for 10,000 years. But that's better than having a radioactive ocean. Problem is that in some parts of that bismuth, after exposure to plutonium over time and some other things, some portions of it are going to migrate to lots of nasty chemicals. But we've left ourselves in a situation where we do not have time. We need to buy some time. And as stupid as pouring the bismuth over it is, I really believe that that's the course of action we should be doing, which means that we have to get access to where the lumps are to pour the bismuth on them. Also, we need to have the bismuth ready for the other reactors that haven't failed or failed yet. One of the major problems with the reactor style in Fukushima is that the spent fuel was elevated 50 feet in the air in a pool. And it has to be cooled. Now, this has to be cooled for 300 years. Some of it they can separate out and do what they call dry casking. Dry casking is an accident waiting to happen. I worked only with americium mostly. And our spent americium had to be melted, mixed in with really high temperature melted glass, put into a barrel, and taken to the Marianas trenches and dumped in. That was the disposal method.
They're dumping that shit in the Mariana Trench?
They were. I don't know what they're doing now.
Well, the other advantage to using bismuth is its low toxicity. I mean,
once
in the short term, it's better than dumping lead on it or something.
Bismuth actually does not have a stable isotope. And one of the biggest things that misunderstandings that people have is they see and they quote how big the half-life is, plutonium. And they really got a mistake there. Plutonium, any radioactive substance, if you look up decay chains and you find out expected periods of existence, you'll see that a lot of half-times are in the micro or nanoseconds. It's really the shorter the half-life, the worse it is. So what you don't want to have happen is something to go from an isotope of curium to an isotope of your americium to an isotope of plutonium to a isotope of neptunium, all right in front of you. Bang, 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 bang. Because every time it goes through decay state, you're getting a dose of radiation. So if you have something with that is a decay chain of a whole bunch of short events, you have to work for it. Now, a lot of times when people say, I want to put this radioactive material and dispose of it, they don't think of the entire decay chain. Well, let's look at uranium and thorium series. Some of them have instances where they go from radium to radon, or is it radon to radium? I think it's radium to radon, where they go from a solid, which you could store on a desktop and not have a problem, except you need the shielding over the desktop, to a gas you can't contain. What about hydrogen? And just water. You could go off water. Water has over 30 varieties. First of all, H2O is a shorthand. It is not hydrogen it's not dihydrogen oxide. It's hydrogen hydroxide. You name it by what the radicals are. And one radical is hydrogen, the other is an oxygen and a hydrogen, which is called a hydroxyl ion. Now, that hydrogen is the name of one isotope of hydrogen. Yeah. The second one is called deuterium. It has two neutrons. If you get deuterium hydroxide, which that would be, and that gets into a DNA strand, the DNA is not going to unfold correctly because it's going to have a different strength of bonds. And likely that is more likely to be a cause of autism than vaccines.
What was that?
That's more likely to be a cause of autism than vaccines.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
Also, you have other combinations. You put that in combination with diesel dust, and you've got a lot of problems.
So is any of this information out there on any type of like news channel or anything?
I really hardly ever hear anything about it. You just, it's not in the interest of any news channel to talk about anything that General Electric has dealt with.
That's the problem. So I got a quick question for Snork. Snork?
Sure.
By the way, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
And then Garden Gnome, thank you also for coming in. This is just epic for me. I just like, wow, I feel like I won the lottery. Because this is very important to me.
Yeah.
So don't laugh, but is there a way, because I know this stuff is sinking. It's sinking, it's getting hotter, it's getting closer, gravity's pulling it down. Last I heard, there is no way that we can remove this stuff. There's no way to remove it.
I wouldn't say that. There's no way that they're willing to use, is how I would phrase it.
Oh.
So what would be your recommendation? Like, how would
My
you
recommendation would be to tunnel under it while we still can. Put a bed of bismuth down there and let it melt into the bismuth, and have zirconium pipes running coolant into it, so that when it mixes in, if you want to see how it mixes in, it's iron or mercury, iron or aluminum. When you mix it or put mercury on it, it sucks right into it. So you're going to want to do the same thing.
And how long would you have to sustain such a system?
We would need to sustain coolant into it for 300 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And we
we have to find solutions that are going to work within the scale of a human lifetime, or they're just not going
No. That is wrong. That area, it's off to humans for thousands of years.
So this is more of an international thing. So are there?
It should be treated as an international. The second thing is we have a treaty with a bunch of other countries that stated that if we, if we let anyone have any of our uranium or transuranic elements, I can't remember the wording of the treaty at the time, that we were obligated to remove their sovereignty and resolve the issue. And probably because of monetary issues, we haven't done that with Fukushima.
So that's a good leverage point.
Well, I mean, look at the sustainability of some of the other systems we've created. There's been a couple that have lasted more than a lifetime or two. but a 300-year project. I mean, we could consider like the field of academia or something like.
No, we're talking
a project.
A 3,000.
3,000. I apologize. But nonetheless, we're talking about a project that goes beyond anything we've ever done.
Future generations might not have much of a choice but to participate.
Is there a big difference between if we just started it now as opposed to starting it, say, a year from now?
Yeah. I don't know how much you guys want me to get into.
Well, the last time that I looked on news about this, maybe a couple weeks ago or so, the last thing that I read about Fukushima was that they were, doing all this exploratory with cameras and, seeing if they could get anywhere near it, which they can't because it's just too hot. It's burning. I can't even remember the heat, but it's extreme, and everything just disintegrates when you get anywhere near it. So you really can't touch it with any external apparatus. Almost impossible.
It's not so much heat; it's the radiation. Electronics just breaks down like you can't believe. When something gets near a neutron emitter, it might not be the material you expected anymore. Now, when you have electronics that are basically gas-doped silicon, when you have a neutron hit them, and a lot of neutrons hit them, the portions of that piece of silicon, the little rock that's the IC that's in your electronics, is no longer doped the way it was, and you can't guarantee what the behavior of it's going to be. And usually they fry out pretty quickly. I believe it's a matter of minutes now when they're sending in probes. And their alternative is to send in fiber optics, which can't handle more than 700 degrees Celsius. No, it's no problem. Let the kid be involved.
He's crying out in agony because of what he's going to have to deal with.
But sorry, I got off track there.
So I think Tim might be interested in having you maybe come on tomorrow, or at least for a while on Friday, to talk about it. I think I'll probably make this like a snippet, so
I don't know what I could say in 3 minutes.
Oh, well, no, not 3 minutes. He will probably give you more time. I mean, because this is something that doesn't go on anywhere, right? And I think part of independent media.
It's extremely informative, and you did a pretty good job of explaining it to laymen like us. I mean,
really incredible.
Well, and again, I'm not a nuclear engineer.
It's great.
No, that's still enough information where we didn't know before. So,
but see, I go from, earlier in my career, I would go from problem to problem, and my specialty was showstoppers. So there was a problem with a reactor somewhere, and they needed a way to prevent a loss of containment when they replaced the reactor vessel. And I developed a new way to make nuclear fuel that didn't cause that reactor risk. I've also made I had the world's largest supply of americium. and
I wouldn't talk about that.
I don't have it anymore. We had an NRC license.
I don't have it anymore. Sure.
We had
How
an
much
NRC
is
license.
americium worth?
Oh,
That'd be my question.
They basically paid us to take it, but I really can't get into that.
Of course not.
We had an NRC license, so this wasn't illegal. I took a bunch of americium sources that were on gold foil, and it wasn't just regular americium. It was kind of heated up a little bit. And we stacked that in a little tube about the size of a battery. And we made a AA battery that lasts for 250 years. The radiation was contained within the vial, and it was captured, so it wasn't a neutron emitter or anything. And My boss's boss asked me to make it up, and we sent it to this place in Kansas to get welded up. And they're like, but how does this thing make electricity?
So was this based on previous work then, right? I mean, or was it
No,
a project that you had started? And
it was an idea that I mentioned because of a problem we were having at our facility, where we were having problems with a pile of our product generating 33,000 volts overnight and knocking our material handlers on their asses. And the factory workers were viewing it as a joke. And whenever they got a new guy, they go, "Oh, go over there and move that pile." They go over and with a fork, a little hand jack, stick it into to get ready to move it, and then bang, knocked on their ass. And I had to explain where the electricity was coming from to one of our VPs. And he goes, no. And I said, yeah, you can put this stuff together and make a battery if you wanted. And he goes, no, you got to prove that. So he said, send 50 sources to this place and give them instructions on how to assemble it.
So how much did it cost to assemble it?
Oh, maybe $200.
Whoa.
It's a great world we live in where technology is, I mean, we can't really spread americium like that around, but still, we're like getting deprived of some of the better technologies, I'm sure of it.
If you made a bunch of these batteries, it would pay off, as it's not fission based. Fission is basically sitting on the fence between getting nothing and going boom. That's how I view pressurized water reactors. They're sitting on the fence between boom and bad.
That's how I've always understood it.
And I'm not completely anti-nuclear. See, we haven't done anything to get rid of our nuclear waste yet. And people don't even have a handle of what nuclear waste is. And the reactor I worked with in, ate nuclear waste. It was 10% fresh uranium and 90% waste uranium or plutonium, whatever mix. They call it mix oxide. And so basically it ate radioactive waste.
But you're talking about like spent fuel and stuff, not like, low grade nuclear waste like suits.
Yeah, even depleted uranium. Yeah.
Well, what about like contaminated equipment and whatnot? I mean,
you'll
have that problem.
It had to be in the decayed.
Exactly.
The problem with you start adding equipment is you have to be able to characterize what all the different problems are, and you have to separate out and how do you say, clean the fuel. Just like you have to boil out the tar before you use gasoline. Yeah, you got to clean the fuel. You can't just dump everybody's gloves and coats and whatever. And for every little bit of radioactive material you have all of this secondary exposed stuff to get rid of.
Now, was this known information when nuclear reactors were being built?
Well, again, like I said, the training we got was awful. We soon learned that most of what we were told safety-wise was wrong. And we have this problem of simplifying things and oversimplifying. So like with americium 241, they say it's mostly alpha. Now, when we were given training books, our books were just used books from the military. Now, the military's idea of harmless is it won't prevent the soldier from living to carry out a typical mission, or usually less than 2 years of service.
Yep.
So their idea of safe is slightly skewed from what a civilian's idea of slightly safe is.
Well, it's also skewed by economics, of course.
Yes.
When we're talking about
once a soldier gets out, you want them to die as quick as possible, so you don't have to pay secondary veteran costs.
Well, that and the fact that that the power industry is for profit. So on that end of it, outside of the military, you have these practices that the public would probably consider unsafe.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I got off the train of thought.
That's okay.
But again, we just do not have enough train stuff. And what we did in the past was so skewed. 90% is not 100%. But when most people are talking about alpha radiation, a really good one that I could bring up. Somebody mentioned they wanted to get a Geiger counter for checking their food, and that's where I jumped in.
Oh, yeah, Ariel.
Okay.
Sorry.
Have you ever seen pictures from people in Fukushima that are carrying around? All of them have these nice white Geiger counters in Ziploc bags. And your biggest problem with nuclear, if you're more than 15, 20 miles from the nuclear plant, your biggest problem is what you inhale or digest. Like if you get some dust in your mouth and swallow. So inside the body, alpha is the worst because the chemistry gets all messed up. It quickly goes to being an alpha particle, which quickly becomes helium. But that can mess up anything, your DNA, just anything. So if you get your DNA messed up, you don't know what your next cell is going to be. Think of chicken. Does everybody remember that chicken that looked like a dinosaur that somebody made last year?
No, I never heard of that.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay. That was made by switching off one gene.
Wow.
That was done with a method called transfection. That wasn't done with regular splicing that I know of. The same thing could happen with an alpha particle in your body. You don't know what that cell is going to become after it switches, which usually can either kill the cell or make it do something silly.
Or even mutate it.
Yep. So alpha doesn't go through plastic, but it's a problem inside the body because it changes inside. So if all of these people in Japan you see with the alpha detector or the bags, they're not doing anything. I saw some people waving a Geiger counter over a shipload of fish. Does absolutely no good. If it's hot, radioactive enough, neutron wise, you'd know it the second you walked up near it with a Geiger counter. You don't need to wave it over all the individual fishes.
It's ridiculous. It's just, I hear that there's this one kind of public relations stunt after another.
Yeah,
that's similar to that,
I'll view it as theater. But the thing is, there's only one kind of Geiger counter that goes for alpha, and it's got since it doesn't go through plastic or glass, you have to use mica. It's a rock that's radioactive or alpha radiation transparent. So you have to take it out of the bag, and alpha doesn't go through fish scales. It's blocked by the skin. So if you want to know if a fish is safe to eat, you have to cut it open, and you have to stick your alpha detector within 4 centimeters of the tissue to know if it's safe to eat. So if anybody was really doing radiation testing of food coming out, it would be incredibly expensive. So I really don't think anybody's doing it.
Ridiculous.
I'm sure they're not doing it properly.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Zork, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
And again, thank you for coming on. This is like a godsend. Here's the biggest question: is how much would you charge us to go out there and check that place out?
Fukushima?
Yeah, somebody like an unbiased person to go out, which I believe they need to go out there.
I volunteered in 2011. The factory I was working at had just shut down, and I said, I've got expertise in. First of all, I offered my expertise in water purification for them. The factory that I was at to prepare the americium, we needed to make water so pure that it would dissolve glass. So I had really good with water purification. So I said, okay, they need somebody with experience getting radionuclides out of water, out of water in high volumes, and can do it quickly. And back in 1983, when our facility was basically greenlit by Bill Clinton to move to Mexico, I was designing a water purification system that was more stable than the previous one we had. And so I was looking around, had all the parts ready. And they gave us 3 months to get the other plant in Mexico operational if we wanted to get our severance pay.
Wow.
And I put together a water purification facility that would have handled Fukushima in 6 weeks. And when we put this in Texas, was the same time that the Waco thing was going on. And most people don't realize that there was a water emergency going on in Milwaukee at the same time as Waco. And Waco pretty much took everybody's attention. And I pretty much had the national supply of nuclear plant level, what they call Roman Haas resin for DI columns, deionizing. And we had 6 main beds, and we had 42 levels of water purification after that. That's called polishing. And we had it all on skids all the parts came together in Texas, and we were going to move them over the border as soon as basically NAFTA was in place. And the thing happened in Milwaukee. They had thousands of people showing up at the hospitals with bad diarrhea. They knew they had something bad, and all of the water experts, big ones like Echo Water and whatever, were in Texas with me, getting ready to put this mega system together and put it across the border. And we actually got calls. All these guys were suddenly pulled out to the meeting we were in, and they come back and say, we might have to take your system and move it to Milwaukee until they figure out if they can save Milwaukee. Because at that time they were looking at, they had 103 deaths in just a day. And the number of people sick in the hospital, they hadn't identified it as cryptosporidium yet. But they were thinking something's bad in the water, and we've got a water system that can handle it. And they said, it would take a year to get another system like mine in place, because I basically used everything up. and they're like, when they go there. So after Fukushima, President Obama did make a statement where he's asking for anybody with special expertise to call. And I said, I've got experience removing radionuclides from water in high volumes, and said I'm somewhat familiar with Japanese. I wouldn't call myself fluent. I wouldn't even call myself able to walk around. But I did know enough about the culture that I thought I could get over there and assist and move a similar system. And I thought, with modern computers and things, we would probably get one ready in 8 weeks. And my response was, we're not interested in cleaning up anything.
That's the response you got.
The response I got, and they said, we only want to know, can we get it back online? And since my expertise was limited to making the fuel or to purifying water, they weren't interested until somebody in government was able to buy some stock in a water company and be able to produce the low quality stuff that they put over there, which is basically just filling tanks and acting like they're doing it. Every few weeks they were just leaking the tanks anyway, draining them out, letting them go.
The other thing that I heard is they're kind of trying to keep a loop going, a loop of professionals that are just kind of working together to contain the public relations end of this thing. And if you're outside of the loop, they're tending to reject calls for outside help, etc.
Yeah, I never saw them do anything that I thought was viable. I can't believe that we haven't put tracks beside the facility yet to move in some kind of cover.
Well, the big thing, I think, when that first all came out, was there was a lot of repression of reporters. I mean, in Japan, they were basically threatened that if they talked about Fukushima or anything that they really knew about it in detail, that they would have not be able to work in journalism again for 10 years or more. They were threatening, journalists with that punishment.
And they would do that by imprisoning them for 10 years.
I mean, you might, yeah. I mean, it's
still it's a worse crime there than shooting someone. You cannot speak. The doctors are not allowed to attribute anything to radiation.
Wow, yeah. But that's the kind of thing that you're dealing with, and that, I mean, if they're unable to talk about it in their own country, how in the world are we supposed to get really good, clear, accurate information about the status? You can find some news stories here and there, like the one I found about how they can't get anything near it because it just destroys it. But that's about it. You're not going to get a whole lot more other than it's really, really bad. I mean, that's it. You just know it's really very
well,
bad.
imagine the chaos that would erupt if Tokyo was declared uninhabitable.
Right.
Which it should have been.
Yeah. There was very similar stuff going on with Chernobyl and Pripyat. And I was, 10, 11 years old, 9 years old when that happened. And I mean, they didn't even tell the people that there had been a meltdown. They just said, well, there's been a problem. You're getting on a bus and we're going to move you out of here for a little while, but don't worry, And so people thought that they could come back, and that's why when you see these pictures from that site and from that town, everything's still there in the houses. It's eerie as it can be.
The helicopters that flew over it turned white as they flew over it.
Right, and a lot of people truly believed that they were going to get to go back.
Yeah.
And they didn't tell the European press or news or government for like something like a week, at least 3 days before it really, the news was let out, because that cloud of radiation that came up out of there as it moved across Europe, they didn't tell anyone that was going on. I mean,
it wasn't discovered until the radiation hit either Norway or Sweden.
Yeah, it's horrible, the disinformation or lack thereof, the repression of it.
Yeah, a reactor up there scrammed because they thought they had a radiation leak.
That's right. Yes, yeah, right. I remember that. Wow, I'm so glad you were here and that you came on. This has been
the worst places that hit the United States were not the West Coast. It was Illinois and Florida. because
Fukushima.
distribution shifts.
The plume.
Density, in the air, when you swirl Kool-Aid.
What areas in Florida?
Down toward Miami.
Oh, shit.
No, we're talking about Fukushima now, right?
Yeah.
It's a plume. Am I correct to say that it's a plume?
But just think of it. The plume expands and contracts. Okay. If you've ever mixed anything in water, you'll see that clouds form and shift and move. It's just like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And so the West Coast basically is tall mountain range, stuff way up into the atmosphere that condenses later and comes down on water droplets.
Right.
And weather was just right in those locations where they concentrated it. Vermont, now different chemicals tended to come off different. Vermont got hit with the heaviest with curium. Now, back to the original, the Manhattan Project. When they discovered these two elements, they had the right to name them, but they classified them, and they wouldn't let them pick a name for these two.
For security reasons.
Well, even after the war, after they said, okay, yes, we do know what elements 241 and curium are. We've made them. We can verify it. And they said americium was just so radioactive compared to plutonium, and they thought, okay, everybody knows that the bomb is plutonium. Plutonium's bad. We don't want anybody to know because we want to use nuclear power and make all kinds of money. We don't want anybody to know about americium. So americium's original name was pandemonium. That was the name they all chose. They said,
a lot more fitting.
This stuff is so bad, we don't want anybody to ever get rid of it. We're just going to call it pandemonium. And then they discovered curium. And they go, oh. This is so much worse than americium. What do we call it? And they struggled with what to call it. They did not want curium known, and curium was originally given the name delirium. And let me put it this way: to make a nuclear bomb out of plutonium back in the 40s, when they did this technology, they would have needed a ball of it, 68 kilograms. Well, it's actually kind of small ball. Plutonium's so dense that's somewhere between a baseball and a golf ball. Well, actually, somewhere between a bowling ball and a golf ball. But if they wanted to make a nuclear bomb out of curium, they had to overcome a problem, because you could make this sandwich-sized foil, like what you'd use to cover a sandwich. If you folded it, the curium would start to fission. It didn't need 68 kilograms. It was just a few grams. So there were, as far as we know, nobody's ever made a curium bomb.
Well, I'm sure that someone has experimented with curium explosives of some type. Maybe not on a large scale, but I mean, if the technology's been around for that long, I mean, of course they would have tried it by now.
Yeah, I don't know anything about those usage of the transuranics. That's not my area of expertise. But my thought is that we're not there yet.
Do you think that there's still technical problems with doing it?
Yeah, I do.
Lovely. Hey, so I have another question, if you don't mind.
Sure. Maybe we should make this the last one. It's been quite a
if you
long
don't
time.
mind, because it's getting
Oh,
late.
sorry.
But
Yeah.
Have a good night, guys.
Oh, have a good night,
thank
guys.
you for coming
Good
on.
night,
I
Gartno.
appreciate it. Thank you. This has been very, very advantageous for us and our little show. I think it's epic, in my professional opinion, that a couple of educated in industry came on, especially Zork. And Zork, my last question is, and probably this is the biggest question that everybody wants to know, is what's happening now at Fukushima is that they're saying there's 400,000 gallons of water that's coming out at a microscopic level. In my mind, I'm thinking that it's affecting the ocean's water. That's probably a no-brainer. But is there a way to not reverse it, but is there a way to stop this? And I thought about tunneling underneath. I actually made a diagram several years ago, and I posted it on Facebook. We got to go underneath, let it drop into a bucket, haul it away, send it to the moon. I don't know, whatever. But do you think there is hope to fix the damage? Not the damage that's been done, but to stop the damage, I think, because I think the damage has already been done to our oceans. Do you believe that there's a way to at least stop it? Or
Yeah, like I said, right now, the two materials that they would either need bismuth or gadolinium.
No.
We will not get gadolinium without going to the asteroids and bringing it back. So bismuth is probably our only feasible option.
Okay, and then you said that tunneling underneath, which is a good idea. Will that to remove it?
Basically, no. We're not going to remove it in this millennia.
Okay.
You got your answer there.
I got my answer there. Okay. All right. So listen, thank you for coming on. I've got stuff to do. I got to get up at 5:45 in the morning.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Amazing information there.
I know this has been a freaking epic night. Do you know anything about food? Because we're having a food thing tomorrow.
Scott sees you a minute. We know that.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually, before my wife died, I learned a lot from her. And I would really like to get a chance to talk to Jamarl. And I have some ideas for him that I think would really enhance his understanding of economics.
Well, and therein lies the problem of the tunneling. I mean, a 3,000-year project.
No. Basically, tunnel under.
Economics.
Do your work and get out, and you're not going to be able to go back for 3,000 years.
Oh, I see. I thought you said that there had to be a continuous flow of coolant
For 300.
For 300.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
I don't think anybody will object to keep that going once they figure out they need it.
Well, you know how people are.
Well, we have another one that people aren't talking about. They're talking about Fukushima, but they're not talking about TIPP.
Maybe you could come back tomorrow night or the day after.
Let me know if you guys have nightmares.
No. This is fantastic. Step in anytime. This is wonderful.
Yeah, again, I was just the manufacturing engineer in the projects. I didn't.
Okay.
Other than how to make a reactor, I didn't do anything else.
Oh, that's
Let's
still.
wrap it up.
Yeah.
Right. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Have a
Eric,
good
for
evening.
hosting.
Bye, everybody.
Lots of love.
Thanks again.
Lots of love, you guys.
Love
Take care.
everybody. Have a good night. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone in chat.
Take care.
Bye, guys. Bye, chat. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Eric. Bye, Yvonne. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you.